Sidewalk today, do not be drinking a glass of milk. Milk would be a bad choice.
I'd be
105
concerned
today, kids, I believe.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's hot. How are you doing? Otherwise,
Good. Doing good.
I'm doing great.
Cardinals won. They finally
Here
beat
come
the Pirates. Now that's tough.
Nope. No.
The Cardinals are coming, tra-la,
Tra-la, tra-la.
The Cubbies are going, tra-la,
Tra-la, tra-la.
The Reds, tra-la, tra-la.
Tra-la, tra-la.
The Cardinals are coming, tra-la,
Tra-la,
tra-la.
tra-la.
CD, what do you mean? The Pirates, the Pirates, they're really good.
2023 World
They
Champions.
finally
thought.
beat them
So
this
we thought,
season.
listen, if that is what we're going to raise a banner for,
To the Jolly Roger.
Yes.
we're raising banners for wins in Pittsburgh now.
Yeah. Yeah, they were 0-5 in Pittsburgh this season.
That's not
and then,
great.
They finally took them down. The World Series champs.
I don't know about you, Brooke, but I'm kind of disappointed that our guy doesn't like winning anymore.
I love winning. I am the. You want to win? I'm your guy. But listen.
But that's not winning.
I don't get false enthusiasm about beating up on a team that he should be beating up.
Well,
on.
here's the thing. See, the Pirates are a little different because they don't have O'Neal Cruz, all right?
So he didn't play? He's not
playing.
He played in other games.
Carey, Brooke. Okay, so the Cardinals are in this predicament, right? They're 15 games under 500.
That's more than a predicament.
That's kind of... Is it 15, by the way? 56 and 72, is that 16? But here's
They
the
were
thing.
16. They were 17 yesterday.
17 yesterday.
Yeah.
But then you put Richie Palacios into the lineup, and you got a different animal altogether.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Richie Palacios right now. What can you not? At least it's something to look at this
First inning.
moment.
That is the motto of our year. At least it's something.
First inning, Goldie aboard, Nolan aboard, Contreras aboard, and Richie at the plate.
Driven down the right field line. That ball is fair and headed for the corner. That's going to score two. The Palacios party continues in Pittsburgh. He ambushes the first pitch, drives home two more, and the Cardinals lead 3-0.
The Palacios party, the Richie Revolution. Chip Carey, the call on Bally Sports. And the Cardinals were off and running. And, oh, by the way, one of their secondary players got in on the action later in the game. Second inning, you've got Goldie aboard and Alec Burleson aboard.
Secondary players?
Yeah. And this guy kind of helps Chip in a little bit.
Ortiz turns her loose. Hammer toward third. It did have a hit in it. Down the line. That's going to go for extra bases. Takes an awkward bounce off the sidewall. The Cardinals are going to get 2 runs out of it. Nolan Arenado with a bases clearing double.
Arenado goes 2 for 4 on the day. Richie Palacios goes 3 for 4 on the day. And the Cardinals knock off the Buccos by a score of 6-4. So I'm trying to put this in a little bit of perspective because it's, it's different. I guess the thing is, so the Cardinals had a guy get hurt, okay? And Richie Palacios had to be called up. Who was it that got hurt?
Dylan Carlson?
Dylan Carlson.
Which one?
Which
Lars
guy?
Gilbar?
Well, here it is.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's the 2023 version of Bobby Bonilla.
Oh.
Is that what
2001.
Is that what we have right now?
Changing the fortunes of the squad.
Okay.
Who's fired up with me? Come on. Come on, you guys.
I don't know if I can.
Richie,
Can you remind me,
Richie.
when Oscar Mercado came up, he was on fire as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Brooke was fired up about Oscar
Oscar
Mercado. Now
Mercado
you
was-
recall that
was
I
doing
wasn't
his
fired
thing.
up. I wasn't fired up about Oscar.
So is this another episode of that?
It's the Richie Revolution.
Okay.
Is this Oscar Mercado 2.0?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, so the Cardinals do win a game against the Pirates, which is positive. I think we should all take something out of that.
Sure. Zach Thompson.
Zach Thompson was
There you go.
Now we're talking.
Zach Thompson.
Okay.
He looked pretty good.
He's kind of like, well, again, Richie Palacios is Albert Pujols. Zach Thompson is
Chris
no.
Carpenter.
he says Clayton Kershaw.
Oh. Okay.
So are you guys good with that? Would you be okay with Matthew? You can weigh in here. Would you guys be good with him winding up being like Clayton Kershaw?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah,
You okay
I
with
think
that?
So.
I'm okay with
yeah.
that.
I think we need to trust the greats on this team. I mean,
Wayno said he's got Clayton Kershaw in him.
Yep.
Albert Pujols said that Juan Yepez has that. No,
that hasn't worked out.
We shouldn't lean on that. You don't think
Juan
has?
Oh,
okay.
How many games has Juan played this year?
So do you think the Kershaw thing's
With the
going to work
Cardinals?
out?
I don't know if
With
it's
the
that many.
Cardinals? I don't know if we.
25?
It is not
Let's
great.
see.
But Albert
We have
Pujols.
not seen him in a while.
He's
He's in purgatory.
So now we have Friday even. The Cardinals are in Philadelphia, and they're going to send Miles Mikolas to the mound. And hopefully they'll be able to handle Christopher Sanchez. That's Cristopher. And the Cardinals perhaps can get some revenge for last year's playoff loss to Philadelphia here in St. Louis.
I don't know if this is the season to get that, Randy.
I don't know that that's revenge.
No.
Okay. So the Cardinals get a win. Okay, and you guys are down because they're 16 games under 500. Let me tell you something, though. It could be worse.
Ooh, yes.
Last night, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, California, USA, world, universe, they got bad news.
Velocity. Trying to get the fastball by Encarnacion Strand, who fought it off. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think Ipe and Phil Nevin are coming out. Shohei looked in there right away, and they saw and sensed something. We're seeing velocity being down even across the board as far as all his pitches.
And that last pitch, 94 miles an hour. More injuries than most teams. The last pitch, that fastball in on the hands.
And he looked, and I think that might be it for Shohei.
You can hear the crowd murmur, and Shohei will come out of the game. We've seen this way too many times this year. Shohei leaving the mound with Mike Frostad and Ipe behind him.
Yeah, not great. Here is the general manager of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, California, Perry Manassian.
Obviously, Shohei left the game today. We did imaging in between games. He does have a tear, and he won't pitch the rest of the year. So we're going to get a second opinion, go from there, but it's basically day-to-day. Obviously, he hit. So, that's where we're at.
That's a UCL tear?
Yes. Yeah. So, again, I don't have, as far as plans and details, I don't have those yet. He's going to, I've been in contact with his representation. Obviously, he hit the second game. He's played with this in 18. So, but with that being said, we'll take it day by day and see where it goes.
Tommy John surgery certainly on the horizon. A second one for Shohei Ohtani, who underwent Tommy John in October of 2018. The most anticipated free agent in the history of baseball. And this is bad not only for him and for all the teams that were going to pursue him, but it's bad for baseball. It's terrible for baseball that you can't show Shohei Ohtani pitching for another year.
Yeah, and Mike Trout also injured. I mean, it's never ending. What did the Angels do? But hey guys, maybe there's a little bit of a silver lining. The Cardinals could get him at a discount now.
Oh.
No?
Nah.
Oh, come on, CD.
I actually think it works. It makes the Cardinals worse off because now if he's injured, that means you're going to have other suitors looking at an Aaron Nola or a Blake Snell. You're going to have more people involved in looking at those guys, which could raise the price for what the Cardinals could have potentially paid, and now we're not going to get a free agent.
If he undergoes Tommy John surgery, I can almost guarantee you that Urias resigns with the Dodgers by the end of September.
Yeah, that feels like a guarantee.
Yeah.
So there's another arm that is taken away. 27 years old. That was a guy that I really liked his stuff and the potential behind it too. Age-wise, as we mentioned there. It's going to be a very interesting market for starting pitchers this free agency. And we already heard what Mozeliak said before about it. Now the competition is going to be even more so.
And guys like Nola, guys like Snell will command the big dollars from a franchise like Boston. They have big money. I would think, by the way, that Ohtani, because he'll still be a hitter next year, he has a much greater likelihood of staying in Anaheim right now. But I wonder if there will be teams that will roll the dice, and the Dodgers have rolled the dice on pitchers that have had arm surgery before. I could absolutely see the Dodgers still signing Ohtani as a hitter for next year. J.D. Martinez is only under a 1-year contract. Sign him as a hitter, and then you can always rework his contract if you want. And if he comes back as a pitcher, then give him pitcher's money too. But he is too much of a draw, I think, for teams like the Dodgers or Seattle or San Francisco to just pass up on him. If San Francisco got him, they were looking at the offense anyway. They need a star. So I could see San Francisco absolutely signing him, signing Ohtani as a hitter.
I feel bad for him. I mean, just to know you never, when you're becoming a free agent, you never want to get injured. You want to finish that season as quickly as possible, as healthy as possible. To have a torn UCL at this moment, knowing that you were probably going to make $40-50 million a year. Maybe you still get it, but maybe it shies, pull some teams off of you. It's just unfortunate for him. And the Angels must be cursed. Because they have two of the best players to ever play the game, and they're always injured, and they don't win. And so that's got to be really bad for them.
Yeah, it's a shame. And you wonder why they're cursed. What happened?
What else I thought is now
the Angels of all teams.
Should they be cursed?
Should Angels be cursed? No.
They did a movie, Angels in the Outfield. Have they?
Maybe that's it.
Maybe. We might have figured it out.
It seems like they can't figure it out. And then you have everything that happened with Albert Pujols there too, and it just seems like they cannot catch a break. I don't necessarily, I guess, feel sorry for him. It just seems like it's a really weird set of circumstances. But Shohei not being able to get that contract, that was going to be so exciting to see where he would land. The amount of money that he would be getting, now that's not going to be a possibility.
Yeah. By the way, when he did not pitch in 2019 after Tommy John, he hit 18 homers, drove in 62, 425 plate appearances. He had an 848 OPS, 18 homers, 20 doubles, and 5 triples. So he was still a representative hitter that year when he didn't pitch. So if you sign him as a hitter, if you're the Dodgers and sign him as a hitter next year, he's evolved into a great hitter now. The last 3 years, 46 homers, 34, and then 44 homers, 91 RBIs this year. He's a much better hitter now than he was in 2019. So maybe it's worth it. Have him undergo the Tommy John for the pitching and then sign him as a DH. He's a better DH even with Tommy John. If you don't have him as a pitcher, he's a better DH for the Dodgers than J.D. Martinez is. And J.D. Martinez is a good DH.
So do you think the Dodgers would be able to get Urias and Shohei Ohtani?
Oh, absolutely. Dodgers, they've never, their president, Stan Kasten, said, we don't have a budget and we really don't know where it is. And he still hasn't said that they have a budget. So, yeah, I don't think the Dodgers are worried about money or luxury taxes or anything. And they do handle their money very well.
Good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it still works out for him.
Yeah, I hope so. So there you have it. We're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Cards at Philly tonight after beating those Buccos yesterday. Go Cards. Coming up on the show, we're going to talk to Greg Amsinger at the bottom of this hour. We're also going to talk to our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, and a lot more coming your way, including Sick of It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO on 101 ESPN. It's Brooke Grimsley. It's Kerry Davis. It's Randy Carricker. It's Matthew Rocchio. It's you with your text 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what I'm sick of. I'm sick of people not sticking to their word, okay? So there was a promo on ESPN radio earlier today in which Mike Greenberg said that if he heard that again, he would smash his head against a wall. I'm sick of Mike Greenberg not smashing his head against a wall if he tells us he's going to do it. I want to see it. He's on TV all the time.
I know.
And I want to see Mike Greenberg smash his head against a wall.
I don't think he meant that literally.
But why would he say it, Kerry?
Why would he say it?
Sometimes we say things in not a literal sense. We're just talking. We're frustrated.
Okay, can I change my sick of it?
Okay, sure.
I'm sick of Mike Greenberg.
Oh,
Wow, that jumps
Say
quickly.
that.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's what it is. Now we get into the root of things. What Greenberg do to you, Randy? You just don't,
He's just got, it's a...
he
here's the
doesn't
thing.
eat any food with his
Greenberg,
hands.
He's a very smart guy, but he has stupid takes. And he has takes for effect, and I'm just not into takes for effect.
I can see that.
That's the way things are going now, right?
I kind of think it is.
That's the way of the world.
Yeah, I mean,
in the sports media world.
when I say Richie Palacios is the next Albert Pujols, I mean, people can count on that. that I put a lot of thought into my take.
You called the one guy Honus Wagner. How did that work out?
He's rocking and rolling.
Hey, he
had
looked
a good
great
game
last night.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, before that, though, he was
even
It's a new
Hannes went into a
team.
slum now and then.
all right.
New team.
The real Hannes.
Yeah.
The fake
He's
Hannes.
resurrected.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know what I'm sick of? I get sick of people not doing their jobs. There's one thing. If you don't want to do your job, cool. But you not doing your job should not impact me from doing my job. The moment you being lazy on your job makes my job harder is the moment where now you and I have to have a conversation. So just do your job. The jobs that you are assigned, the duties that were assigned to you, don't pass the buck. Don't be lazy. Don't expect someone else to pick up your slack because you don't want to do it. Now, here's the thing. I will gladly do your job. Give me your salary. If you're going to have me do your job and mine, then why should you have a salary? Why should you get paid the money you get paid if I'm doing the work?
Fair enough.
It's not your job, it's mine. Give me the money.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so
It
that's
makes
all
sense.
One of my all-time favorite people is Rick Venturi. We got to get Coach on before the season starts.
He's a guy.
And he is good friends with Bill Belichick, but he's also willing to point out the peccadellies of Bill Belichick. Well, you walk into the Patriots facility, and on a huge sign above the receptionist desk, 3 words: "Do your job."
Yes.
But the other fun thing is, Coach says, you look up at that and you see "do your job." He said, you look down at the floor, and that line between right and wrong is really blurry in that facility.
That's a good one. All right. You know what I'm sick of, guys? 'Tis the season today. This should be a national holiday. And CD knows where I'm going with this because we are big fans of this. Everybody, it is pumpkin spice season. Officially at Starbucks. It is officially pumpkin spice latte season is here. Today's the day that you can go and get that at Starbucks. You know what I'm sick of, guys, is pumpkin spice haters.
Oh, yeah.
Do you hate
what's wrong with those
joy?
people?
The taste of joy?
It's
of
just
fall?
the feeling. Well,
Here he comes.
goes.
There he goes.
Here's the hater.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Of course
there
you
we
do.
go. The haters in the room with us, in the building right now.
Lined up.
What is it that you don't
understand. They don't understand what they're missing out on.
Did you see
It's okay.
when you drink a pumpkin spice latte, CD? What are the feelings that it brings?
I get feelings of walking in a meadow and the sun beaming on my face, touching the grass, feeling the flowers as I stroll by.
Kerry, I've seen your allergies. You're not doing any of that in the
I've
fall.
seen your
Don't you ruin my vision.
Here's the thing.
I'm not the one doing it to you.
He has Claritin. He has all the nasal
I just
sprays
took
and
all
stuff.
of it just last break.
Can we all agree that if you hate pumpkin spice, you hate fall, you hate football, and therefore you hate America.
Oh,
Yes.
there we go.
Now
I
we're
see
getting
the
to it.
connection. Rock,
Now
do
we're
you
getting to
care
it.
to explain why you hate America?
No, I just hate fall because it means winter's coming.
Oh, but can you not enjoy the
Winter's
present?
coming.
The present of just being. I know right now it's not fall, but I'm saying like, why not worry about what lies ahead? Just enjoy the present because fall is so beautiful.
I
and the
live
leaves are changing.
perpetually terrified of my recent future.
Oh, okay. That's
What?
a state of panic to be in.
What? You worry often about the future that's right in front of you?
Constantly and forever.
You should take a chill
Since about,
pill,
since
brother.
about 9 years old, I've been doing that.
That's got to be unhealthy. Yes.
Yes.
What you're doing, yes.
Oh,
No.
Thank you.
There we go.
And pumpkin spice.
But you just said it was an indictment on our entire society.
Well,
Yeah,
if you
what
don't
you're
like
doing.
pumpkin spice,
There you go.
it is,
There you
right?
go.
Okay.
Pumpkin spice is a sign of fall. Fall
is.
is a sign of football. Football is a sign of America. Ergo,
There you go.
you don't
It's
like
beautiful.
pumpkin spice, you don't like America.
I'm with you there.
And some people are saying, look, it's 115 degrees outside. I don't want PSL anything. Just take it inside, with some
Enjoy
air
it.
conditioning. Just enjoy. Right. Just
Enjoy
enjoy
life.
it. And
It's okay.
PSL is not just for the influencers, as people are saying. It is for everyone.
I wanna get
It is
back-
fall. It's spice. It's beautiful. I don't care if it makes me basic, as like Gen C says about the millennials. I don't care. I think it's beautiful, especially you guys know how I love my Target trips. Get a nice PSL. It could be ice. There we go, to solve the
Nah.
hot outside. I know you don't like iced coffee. But then you get to walk around, look at the decorations for fall, think about buying some things.
How can we get you
beautiful.
to not fear the future as much as you do?
No, that's not going to change.
That's on
God,
my
I care. I've
brain.
been doing this for 2 decades.
Your fear of the you said recent future
Of the recent future.
like what's about to happen.
What's about to happen?
You need a hug.
I'm more scared about the next 3 months than I am like 3 years from now. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I am.
Oh man.
It's because it's going to be 100,000 degrees.
There you
today.
go.
This is apparently a
There you
very
go.
hot take about the pumpkin spice season.
man.
I didn't know. Oh my goodness.
You did it in a hurry.
Do it.
The text line has feelings about pumpkin spice. I'm sorry.
We'll get to some
I
other
enjoy the
feelings here.
spice.
Okay. Can I give you one other quick one? My son, pumpkin spice enthusiast and pumpkin pie enthusiast. One morning on Thanksgiving morning, I had promised to get him a pumpkin pie that they sold at Quick Trip. They sell at Christmas season. They sell, at Thanksgiving season. They sell apple, pecan, and pecan pie and pumpkin pies at Quick Trip. Well, I didn't get it on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Thanksgiving morning, I go to Quick Trip up here on Lackland, which is my Quick Trip. No pumpkin pies. No problem. I'll go to the one on Dorset. No pumpkin pies. Go to the one on the Rock Road. No pumpkins. I wound up going to 11.
Oh
Quick
my
Trips. Finally,
God.
at the 11th one over by Northwest Plaza, I found pumpkin pie. Thanksgiving morning, I went to 11
Oh, my
different
goodness.
Quick
Randy.
Trips to find a pumpkin pie.
Oh my gosh.
He should be very proud of his father and
Yes.
appreciative
11.
of all of the work you did.
And I knew where every single Quick Trip was. Every single one of them. Yep. I walk in, go to the left, get my large, bing, bang, boom, Diet Dr. Pepper, great ice. The best. Love my guys at Mobile on the Run. They're awesome. But if you want the best ice, it's Quick Trip. It's pure filtered. They have people driving around right now listening to this show whose job it is to clean out the water pipes that feed the ice machines at Quick Trip.
job.
And it's the best ice you'll ever have.
There you go.
I see that filtered sign on the soda I'm going for. I know it's going to be a good day.
So now you know via radio.
The more you know. Do-do-do-do-do. I'm sick of salesmen approaching me in the center aisles of grocery stores. I did not stroll into Walmart with my kids looking to switch internet providers.
Okay.
Leave me alone.
That
I
happens?
haven't seen
Yeah, that
them.
happens?
What?
Gotta
At Walmart?
gotta play for you. Gotta play. Happens at Costco all the time. All right? And you don't have to have the platform that we have, but when they come up to me and say, "You happy with your cell provider?" Well, yeah, because it's free. Can you beat free? Yeah, no, I really can't beat free. And then they just walk away.
There
So
you go.
you just tell them you're getting free phone and you're good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. I didn't know that
Can't
happens
be,
at
and
Costco
if they can beat
and
free, if they'll
Walmart.
pay you to use their cell service,
Then
then
you sign up with them.
Sign up, yeah.
I'm sick of I'm sick of watching players in the lineup or on the mound that will not even be on the roster next year. Bring up the young guys.
Well, this is why
Yes.
we have Mason Wynn here. This is why we have Richie Palacios in the lineup.
Wait
because
a second, hold on a minute.
No.
You put Wynn and Palacios on the same level.
Jordan Walker
there.
too. Sorry, I didn't put
Okay.
Jordan Walker in there. I apologize for that. Yeah, but this is why everybody. Carrie doesn't even seem happy about this.
I just don't, I don't think so. But, I mean, with the outfield, who knows? Who knows who's going to be second base, center field, left field? Who really knows? Do you really know?
I hope the Cardinals know.
Nah, you and me both, bro.
Yes.
But Richie is, first of all, the glasses are great,
They are.
right?
Yes.
And the number, a baseball player wearing number 67, an outfielder wearing number 67 is cool. He's only 26 years old. So
There's that.
he's from Brooklyn.
How about that?
How about that? I think I would be a little bit concerned about that. In 54 games with the Guardians in 2020, he didn't record a single home run in any of his 123 plate appearances.
I think Turner Ward has unlocked his power potential.
There you go.
There- I forgot about that.
Got to be gooder.
Yes.
Keep getting gooder.
Well, speaking of the position coaches, not position coaches, but overall coaches, sick of seeing Dusty Blake go out there on the mound to talk to Adam Wainwright. What in the hell could he possibly tell him? It's a joke. I'm sick of it.
Okay, come on now. Let's give credit where credit is due. All right? Has there ever, and text in, the text line is open for you, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! I would argue, ladies and gentlemen, that Dusty Blake is the best to ever wear number 90 for the St. Louis Cardinals.
How about that?
So let's give credit where credit is due. This guy is the best number 90 that the Cardinals have ever had. So he's good as far as being a number 90. So I'm not sick of him at all.
I think, I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully, he doesn't have to make many more mound trips this season.
Yep.
At this point, what the hell are you going out there for? For anybody, realistically. You know what Greg Popovich used to do at times when his team was stinking? Tim Duncan, Manu, Parker. Hey, you guys stink. You figure it out. I'm not calling timeout. Just play. You all figure it out on the court, and I will sit here on the bench. I'm not going to call anything. You all aren't playing the way that you were coached. You figure it out. I won't help you.
Dusty is going out there to tell Adam Wainwright, this guy has a 55% launch angle. His average exit velo is 101.2.
I'm sick of it. Sick of it.
Yeah.
It's like a math sheet that he.
Yeah.
You got to bring out a paper. So his last at bat, he swung at the curved ball that was a 12-degree angle. You need to throw it at this angle. Yeah, I'm sure he'll. What?
Yeah, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Baseball is becoming. It's unbearable.
Here's the thing. So the Cardinals had a pitching coach one time that would go out to the mound and tell his pitchers, all he would say was, trust your stuff. But the other thing he would say, he'd go out with the bases loaded and say, look around and say, hey, don't walk this guy.
Hey,
Sounds like good advice to me.
We're going to get Greg
makes
Amsinger's
sense.
take on Shohei Ohtani facing another Tommy John surgery next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals avoid the sweep against the Pirates, winning 6-4 yesterday. Zach Thompson in the start, 5 innings, picked 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed. Richie Palacios for the Cardinals was the big bat in the lineup, 3 of 4 with 2 RBI, a walk, and a strikeout for him as well. Cardinals off today. They start a 3-game series in Philadelphia tomorrow on Friday. That's a 6:05 first pitch. Also in sports news yesterday, Inter Miami does it again, this time in the semifinal of the U.S. Open Cup against Cincinnati. Down early, they eventually tie it up in the 7th minute of stoppage time with an assist from Leo Messi, and then eventually went on to win in penalties and shootouts, That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Carrie Randy, and we go to the celebrity line and the great Greg Amsinger of MLB Network. He's their lead anchor. He's a product of the Lindenwood University. He's a native of St. Louis and a Cardinal fan and a baseball fan in general. And he joins us now on 101 ESPN. Good morning, Greg Amsinger. How you doing?
Oh, Mike, I got to tell you, Randy, I can't take your introductions for granted. When you go without it for a week, I don't really calculate how it makes me feel so good. You really build me up. I hope I'm not disappointing every single week, but I miss the introductions. If you don't mind, I'm going to record right now.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Got your phone?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm recording. Can you introduce me again?
Yeah, here we go. Welcome back to the opening drive, 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, Randy, and right now we go to the celebrity line. The great Greg Amsinger of MLB Network, their lead anchor, joins us. Of course, Greg is a product of the Lindenwood University, a proud native of St. Louis, and one of our most favored sons, the spectacular broadcaster from MLB Network, Greg Amsinger, now on 101 ESPN. Greg, good morning.
Oh, that was so good. Oh, my goodness. That's my new ringtone. If that has been a weird thing out, if you call my phone, that is what you're going to hear.
Okay. Are you coming into town for a Lindenwood game?
Yes, I will be there for, I don't think full 24 hours, but I will be there to watch the Lions kick the season off on August 31st. I'm so fired up.
Good. That'd be 1 week from tonight over at Hunter Stadium, so we'll see you there.
I'll be there for sure.
Okay. How much of a hit, and you are Major League Baseball, you are the face of Major League Baseball on MLB Network. So I'm going to use the word. How devastating is the injury to Shohei Ohtani?
I'm in my car driving home. We get off the air at 1 a.m. last night, and Cliff Floyd calls me. I was on TV with Cliff Floyd, Dan Plesac, and he's like, "Greg, you're not going to believe this." And he tells me the news, and I immediately thought I need to turn around. But Kiana Martin does a great job of quick pitch, is going to the press conference, Perryman has you live, and they're going to have a couple people on the phone talking about it, reporters who are covering it. And I felt the need to go back on the air for a 2-hour special on how awful this is, that Shohei Ohtani isn't going to pitch for the rest of the year, but more importantly, that he has a tear in his elbow. He's already had Tommy John surgery before. When he had his first batch of arm fatigue, I went on the air. I'm not trying to pat myself in the back, but I went on the air and I said, he can't pitch anymore. Like, he's got to be done. The Angels were beyond fading. They were just not a competitive team. For some reason, when they decided to go all in, they brought in all these new faces. They couldn't hit anymore. It's one of the worst teams offensively in the month of August we've seen. Since the deadline detonated this team, and when they decided to go all in, it just ruined them. So they're not going to be in the playoffs. Why is this guy risking hundreds of millions of dollars? I thought he needed to shut it down, let them know I'm not going to pitch anymore. I can't. But no, he went back out there. He tried to get himself ready, and he made another start. And I just think it's awful. It's going to change so much regarding his free agency. To say that he's still going to get what we thought he was going to get, we're talking like $500 to $600 to $700 million. it's just impossible to think that anymore with a guy that, again, we don't know if he's going to have a second Tommy John, but getting 2 Tommy Johns just changes everything. So just devastating. I mean, really sad for him, more specifically. And then after that for baseball, because it was going to be, and it still will be the number one topic this offseason, but unfortunately it's not going to be the same type of story, which sad. It's sad.
Greg, I'm looking at the Cardinals in this situation, and could there be a domino effect of how this impacts other free agents and how this could impact the Cardinals going forward in the offseason?
Well, absolutely. I mean, all the talk of Tyler O'Neill trying to save his legs and not running at the same sprint speed, and for anyone to frown at that. I mean, these are men who don't really know if when their short careers come to an end that they're going to be able to come anywhere close to being this financially successful again in their lives. More than likely, they won't. Mm-hmm. So for these men to recognize that what they do for a living is a very fickle thing. Your health can come and go. For them to think about that, right? I mean, Carlos Correa, leading to his free agent season, his first free agent season, he dove into analytics, realized I'm not going to steal bases anymore. That's not good for me. Could injure me, and decided not to dive anymore defensively. If he was only make throws if he was standing upright, because his defensive run save would go down. Won a Gold Glove because of it. People frowned at him for it. I don't frown at him for it. I understand it. So the way free agency rolls, you have an opportunity to get a bite of the apple. No one is guaranteeing that you're going to get multiple bites of this apple. Now, I understand you're driving your car. You're going, I'm not feeling sorry for Shohei Ohtani. He's going to sign a $300 to $400 million deal. I don't feel bad for the guy. Okay, I get it. But this is a human being that's done something we've never seen before in this sport. And if anybody was told that a decision they made would lead to losing maybe $100 to $200 million in your lifetime, anyone listening to this right now, you would second guess it, and you would make sure you did everything you could to hold on to as much money as you earned in your lifetime. And I think people need to recognize that these are men that have a small amount of time to make as much money as possible, and no one should ever second guess whether or not they're considering that when they're playing for the team. There's no I in team. Well, people forget about you when you're retired. So let's just remember that.
Where do you think, if you just could make a prediction of where you think he will land, do you think he'll stay with the Angels, or where do you think that he would go?
Unfortunately, it puts the Angels back in play. I hate saying that, but it's the truth. They have the opportunity now, because I truly think its price tag will go down a bit. It's got to go down. It's got to go down. So that's good for the Angels. That said, he is still going to be one of the most coveted players we'll ever see in all of professional sports. I think it enters other teams into the fray. I truly think so. Does the financial ceiling change? Yes, it's got to change. It's that I've been saying $700 million, maybe more for this guy. Why? Because look at what certain pitchers are making a year. We've got guys in their 40s making over $40 million a year that are pitchers. Shohei Ohtani's stuff is every bit as good as them. We've got position players making around $40 million a year. Shohei Ohtani offensively is every bit as good as them. Okay? So it mix it together. We'll give you a hometown discount, and it's not $80 million, but $70 million, and he can get a 10-year contract because he's a DH. And because his talents are so unique, he could be a reliever towards the end of his career if you didn't want to work him a ton in terms of innings. So $70 million, 10 years, $700 million is legit. It's legit. So I think if the price comes down a hair, and a hair I'm talking, the $400 million, right? $450. The Cubs are in play. The Chicago Cubs, the New York Yankees are legitimately in play again. The Mets, obviously, we knew they were going to be. The Giants,
Seattle?
The Seattle Mariners, Dan, yes, absolutely, Randy, are definitely in play. This has changed the market. It's going to be more competitive. But unfortunately, I believe there's a ceiling. You're not going to see the $700 million deal.
Wow. Well, Greg, I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit because this is something that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on the show. So I wanted to get your take on this. The Cardinals offense seemingly has really struggled this season with driving in runs with the bases loaded. What do you think the reasoning is behind that this season where they're not able to capitalize in clutch moments like that?
I think there's when you go to school so much and you're being taught something, and then all of a sudden the quiz that you get isn't what you were taught. You freak out and you don't let your natural common sense kick in. I'm going to give you a great stat. Jose Abreu last night was hitting for the Houston Astros. Really good baseball game. 2 outs, 3rd inning. And he's at home. The broadcaster, Matt Vasgersian and Tom Verducci, are talking about how bad this year's been for Jose Abreu. He's hitting under 240, 10 home runs, only 3 home runs at Minute Maid Park this year. First year of a new contract with his new team. Just hasn't been good. He gets a base hit down the line, and right before he gets a base hit down the line with 2 outs in the 3rd inning that drives in 2, Matt Vasgersian says, Jose Abreu, as bad as he's been this year, is hitting .390. with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. There are certain instinctual players that know how to put the data away and grind, because every at-bat is not created equal. Anybody that's played sports recognizes that. If you're an analytical darling, every at-bat is created equal, right? Every game matters. It's all the same. But wait a minute. If you're an analytical darling, did you ever shoot a free throw with 2 minutes into the first half of the game? If you've ever done that, that feels a whole hell of a lot different than when you're shooting a free throw down by 1 with 5 seconds to go, okay? For some reason, the ball's heavier. For some reason, the rim looks higher, right? For some reason, it's a different feeling to shoot that free throw. And when all you're doing is shoving numbers into players' minds, right, and you're taking their humanity out of play in that mano-a-mano crucial moment, the instincts don't work. And when a pitcher's on the mound and they're flashing, throw a slider, guess what the pitcher knows? My slider isn't working today. I don't have a feel for it. And this guy doesn't look like he can hit a heater, so I'm throwing 95 at his hands. The pitcher changes the game plan because the pitcher has the game in his hand. He's got the ball. Hitters are being overly trained. They're being overly trained. Jose Abreu, I don't care what his season stats are, you don't want that guy up with 2 outs in an inning and a runner in scoring position. Unfortunately, the Cardinals don't have anybody like that who foams at the mouth to drive in a run. That's the key to the game. And if anybody says that RBIs are a dying stat, you're a moron. You don't understand what the whole point of the game is. Score the most runs and you win. So Jose Abreu can be terrible. His offensive numbers this year are bad. But guess what? Jose Abreu is going to be hitting in October, and not a single Cardinal is this year. So that's key.
Greg, in the last couple of weeks, the Cardinals have brought up Jacob Barnes, Drew Rom. They've brought up Casey Lawrence, names that we weren't really familiar with. They have not brought up Michael McGreevy, Gordon Graceffo. Is there any particular reason why those guys are still waiting in the minors and we haven't seen their debut?
Oh, absolutely. The Cardinals, in this regard, the Cardinals do this as well as anybody. They make sure that the culture within a minor league system, which is something that no one ever talks about, no one ever talks about the culture within the minor leagues of the franchise. If you put in time, you're going to get a chance. There are many organizations that never promise that. They never, ever communicate that to minor league players. So many top prospects are the only investments that you see in high A, single A, double A, and triple A. That's not how the Cardinals roll. And that, to me, is why they've had so many diamonds in the rough, guys that weren't high draft picks that come to the minor leagues and a chance. It has been communicated to all of these minor leaguers, no matter where you were drafted, no matter how big your signing bonus was. We look at you as an investment, and if you perform, you will get an opportunity. I love this about the Cardinal organization. So many people want to complain for a million different reasons why the Cardinals aren't it's not the Cardinal way anymore. This has been the Cardinal way going back generations, and that is why they are able to develop young players. I love it. I love it. Those guys that you mentioned are going to get their day in the sun because, yes, they are heavily invested in their talents, to see other guys get an opportunity because they've grinded just the same, if not longer in most cases, I think it's a good thing for the organization.
That being said, Greg, here you have, and I know you're paying attention to this, Dave Martinez gets a 2-year extension from Washington. They're 13-7. The Cardinals staff, aside from Turner Ward, their hitting coach, almost devoid of major league experience. You look at David Martinez's staff in Washington. Tim Bogar, we all watched him play a lot. Darnell Coles is their hitting coach. Jim Hickey is their pitching coach. Pitched, and he's been a coach for a long time. Eric Young Jr., we've all watched him. Gary DiSarcina. Ricky Bonas is their bullpen coach. Bill Miller, former Cardinal coach, St. Louis, and is their quality control coordinator. The Cardinals don't even have a catching coach in the organization, and Henry Blanco is their catching and strategy coach in Washington. How much value is there as a no-name team ascends in having a coaching staff that's been there and done that?
Insanely valuable. Look at the Atlanta Braves staff, just overflowing with big leaguers. It's insanely valuable. Here's the issue, Randy. The Washington Nationals, they do business differently. The Atlanta Braves do as well. How much money are you going to pay these guys, these coaches? A lot of them don't make the money that people think they make, and their hours are ridiculously long. Ridiculously long. I'm lucky to call Sean Casey one of my best friends, the mayor, who's now the hitting coach for the New York Yankees, and things have been tough there. His day starts at noon. He's at the ballpark at noon, and he's going to bed at 1:30 in the morning.
And did he take a pay cut? Did he take a pay cut to go there?
Of course he took a pay cut. He was on national television. He had to take a pay cut to go there. Him and Aaron Boone is one of his great friends, and it's just something he's always thought about doing. And he loved the idea of putting a uniform back on. Guys have competitive juices. It's hard to talk a former big leaguer who made any kind of money to doing this, to having this lifestyle, right? It is long. It is tiresome. It's a grind, and you're not making a ton of money. You're just not. So it's a culture that you have to create where there's incentives based on coaches, where they do financial things that are a bit outside the box to give these guys some perks. And unfortunately, I mean, no one talks about this, but you could go back 15, 20 years, and the average managerial salary was much higher than it is today.
Yeah.
That, to me, is symbolic of where we believe coaching, managing in Major League Baseball is. How important is it? Just look at the bank account, man. They don't think it's that important. So it's hard to get guys like you just described that the Washington Nationals have. It's hard to find guys when you're not financially investing in the role. So kudos to the Nationals, but I do agree with you. Experience matters. I'm sorry, young people, these young players today, they know where the game is heading, so they're being very open-minded about it, and they want people that can give them the data that gets them best suited for their at-bat or for their start, right? But at the end of the day, if a guy can look you in the eye and say, hey, man, I've been there. Bases loaded, 2 outs. I know what it feels like. This is what worked for me in that moment between the years. That stuff should matter. And I think eventually it's all coming back. It is. When Bruce Bochy has this much success, when Dusty Baker has this much success, when the Atlanta Braves are the best organization in baseball because of what they're doing, similar to what the Washington Nationals are doing. Dave Martinez got a contract extension when they have a losing season. Why? Because he learned a lot from a guy like Joe Madden, who was a great, quote-unquote, old-school manager. I think it's all come back the way we want it, and that's having real baseball people in positions to get these young players to understand it's a game that is played every night with humans, not on a spreadsheet.
You could do worse than having Dave Martinez as mentor, as the manager of your squad. Greg, are you going to be in the air 1 week from this morning, or are you going to already be here?
I'm flying. I'm on a 6 a.m. flight on the 31st.
Okay.
And then having so much fun going to the game. And then I'm on a 6 a.m. flight the next day because I have to be on TV. So September 1st performance on MLB Tonight. Tune in because Greg Amsinger might be a little loopy. We'll just giving you a warning.
Can you do next Wednesday then, since you're going to be in the air on Thursday?
Wow, you put me on the spot.
I sure am.
All your listeners.
You betcha.
Man,
we'll see.
It's like a contract negotiation, and my boss sits down on the set. He's like, "Hey, Greg, let's talk contract here, live on the air."
Greg, here's the thing.
I'm cool with it.
At the game next Thursday night, you hand me your phone, and I will do your voicemail message.
You think honestly that I wasn't recording? You thought
Well,
I
it
made
was
this
phone
up.
quality. This will be studio quality.
Oh, okay. Well, with such a perk, Randy, I will then absolutely be on the air with you on Wednesday, okay?
We'll figure it out. I can understand if you have a tea time.
No, this negotiation went back and forth. It got a little intense, but I am going to go your way. I'm in. Wednesday, I'm in.
You're the king. Have a great day, man. We'll be tuned in.
All right, see you guys.
See you, brother. That is the great Greg Amsinger, MLB Network. You can see him on MLB tonight. Coming up, I think we've got a very quick Take It or Leave It on 101 ESPN.
Time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, set it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for TIOLI on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carey, Randy, Matthew, and guys, you've heard the story about Brett Favre being involved with the situation in Mississippi where
He's stealing money,
taking welfare money to get it applied to a volleyball stadium in Mississippi. And now he's under some additional fire in that welfare case as he's accused of withholding certain pertinent text messages. According to Front Office Sports, he's believed to have failed to disclose messages that could have been crucial to the matter. Take it or leave it for Brett Favre. It's pretty bad when that's not the most embarrassing text situation you've ever had.
Take it.
Oh.
Take it.
Was it at a DM? Was it, or was it via text message? It was via. I couldn't remember if it was DM or not.
With Crocs, by the way.
Oh
No.
man, he didn't pay attention to old Tom Brady, did he?
He did not.
Tom
No,
smashed that phone
with a hammer.
Yeah, what phone?
Yeah.
I don't have
I do
a
that
phone.
with all my phones.
Might as
Especially
well.
the ones that have Deflategate information on them.
Yeah, makes sense. So the Cardinals are going to be looking for a pitcher this offseason. A few pitchers.
3.
That's what they said. Take it or leave it, they're going to have to go trade for that pitcher because the market has shifted so much with this Shohei injury that they are going to be outbid in the actual free agent market.
Great call, 100% take.
Sadly, I'm going to have to take it. I feel like they're going to be part of conversations. We know how we like to hear that, right, guys? We like to hear we were a part of the conversations when it comes to pursuing some of these free agents. But I feel like it could just have to come from trade.
I would be really surprised now if Urias would hit the market, right?
Yeah.
And Nola will certainly, he was going to be the highest draw anyway, and he'll get his big money, big money somewhere. And then Blake Snell will be out there, and Blake Snell might be, based on this year, the most attractive guy out there. And so the Cardinals, I would not think, will be in the hunt for him at what he'll command. So yes, CD, I'll take that the Cardinals will have to do that with a trade.
I'll take it as well. Well, guys, this is an interesting story coming out yesterday. Mason Smith, a defensive tackle out of LSU, was suspended for 1 game by the NCAA for receiving an improper benefit. Apparently had something to do with signing some autographs right before an NIL kicked in. Some rule with that. Take it or leave it. You didn't know that there was such a thing as an improper benefit right now with the NCAA and the NIL and all that stuff.
There are no such things as improper benefits. 100%.
When the heck did it happen? Like, how did he find the one rule that he couldn't
I have no
get in
idea.
line with?
Yeah. It's just a very interesting story because this is what I was asking you guys during the break. Okay, say that they want to suspend him. Does the NCAA even have enough power to enforce anything at this point?
I think so. Not against the SEC.
It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. Take it or leave it.
They just say things.
Yeah. Somebody in the family should have warned him anyway.
In my family.
They should have. They definitely should have.
Matthew, do we have one text or two?
Yes. Take it or leave it. The same people who want pumpkin spice this early are the same people who put up Christmas decorations in November.
Oh, totally take it.
Leave it. I personally don't put up my Christmas decorations till about a week before Christmas.
Many people who desire joy and happiness, though, put up their Christmas decorations in Thanksgiving time. But not everybody does desire joy and happiness on a regular basis. So.
Oh man, that is first you're un-American and you hate.
Now you hate joy and happiness.
I know that for some people it's a tradition right after Thanksgiving. You have the family together and you force them to free labor basically to help you put up your Christmas decorations.
Okay,
After Thanksgiving,
maybe it's free labor rather than joy and happiness.
After Thanksgiving is fine, but the people who like hit that in like second week in November, who are just like, we're just gonna skip the whole Thanksgiving thing and just go right into Christmas.
That
bothers me.
No.
Now we'll judge
if you don't like Thanksgiving, you're not American.
If you keep your Christmas lights up in March.
Oh.
And tree.
Yeah.
You are judged. Just know.
By the way, pumpkin spice enthusiast Patrick Carricker did not know that today is the opening of pumpkin spice season. So,
it
Brooke,
is.
Thanks for the info.
There you go.
And I'm sure that he'll head over there.
You see, good people enjoy pumpkin spice.
Did he know you went to 11 quick trips to get him that?
He found out. Yeah.
Oh
my God.
That's a sweet story.
That is awesome.
It was a lot of.
Were you now let's tell the truth. Were you frustrated after like the 7th one?
Yes, I was.
Driving around cursing everything.
It was, but it was a nice morning, and so it was. I'm just driving around.
Nobody outside, so that's the benefit of it.
Right.
But I know after about 3 or 4, you were like, all right,
what the hell's going on here? Not this many people love pumpkin pie.
Not this many people.
All right, thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thanks very much for the text. We do appreciate them. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, why are the Cardinals so bad with runners in scoring position? It's almost incomprehensible. And we're going to give you some striking numbers and then tell you what we think is going on next on 101 ESPN.
perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
Hitters are being overly trained. They're being overly trained. Jose Abreu, I don't care what his season stats are, you don't want that guy up with 2 outs in an inning and a runner in scoring position. Unfortunately, the Cardinals don't have anybody like that who foams at the mouth to drive in a run. That's the key to the game. And if anybody says RBIs are a dying stat, you're a moron. You don't understand what the whole point of the game is. Score the most runs and you win. So Jose Abreu can be terrible. His offensive numbers this year are bad. But guess what? Jose Abreu is going to be hitting in October. And not a single Cardinal is this year. So that's key.
That's Greg Amsinger, our buddy from MLB Network. This year, the St. Louis Cardinals are hitting 179 with the bases loaded. They have 31 strikeouts and 106 at-bats with the bases loaded. With the bases loaded, the Cardinals strike out about a third of the time. Back in my day, especially if you got 2 strikes, you'd choke up a little bit. Make sure you got your bat on the ball. If you have the bases loaded with less than 2 out especially, you should always get the run home. I mean 100% of the time. But players now are so individualized, and they go through these workshops and they go through these lessons, and they don't get taught team baseball. They get taught individual baseball. So it's home run, doesn't matter if your out is made via strikeout or not. In every instance, there is no nuance, there is no situational hitting, and that's why you have teams like the Cardinals batting 179 with the bases loaded, because they aren't taught that it's a good thing to get a run home and make a productive out at times. If you don't hit a home run, it's not the end of the world if you can get a run home. It is amazing to me that the Cardinals can be hitting 179 with the bases loaded. They're batting 265, by the way, with runners at second and third. And with runners in scoring position, it's not as horrible. It's 251. But with runners in scoring position, again, find a way to get your bat on the ball. The Cardinals, with 1,040 at-bats with runners in scoring position this year, have struck out 275 times. They have struck out a quarter of the time with runners in scoring position. That's way, way, way too much.
It is. And that's what is so perplexing to me about what exactly is going on. But I think that Greg has a good point, and with what you're saying too, is that we are seeing more of that individualized approach to things. Because when you're so heavily reliant on statistics and analytics, what is that about? I mean, yes, you look at some team statistics, but when you're evaluating yourself and that's what you're relying on, then it's going to be really emphasizing what you are doing instead of that team first mentality, right? I mean, that's what it feels is missing. And I thought it was interesting, a name, when he's talking about nobody is foaming at the mouth. I was surprised he didn't mention Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, because those are the first 2 people I think of. I think Nolan definitely is a lot more where you can see where he gets really amped up in those situations. That I know that he cleared the bases with a 2-run double last night. But I think that you are missing some of those guys. And we've talked about this season where you see a lot of the same guys on this team.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the Cardinals, Nolan Arenado has 87 runs batted in. Nolan Gorman is second with 67. And so those opportunities, when you are in those situations, you do want to drive runs, and that it's how you win games. You can't win unless you get runners across. So, being in those positions with the opportunity. But I think it also is something inside of you where you kind of relish that moment, like that opportunity. Yeah, I got somebody on base. I'm going to get them in no matter how it happens. And I do think the focus has been so much on how hard are you hitting the ball? What is the angle you're hitting the ball at? What is your slugging percentage? Slugging percentage isn't going to help you if you hit the ball to the right side and the runner scores. That's what we're talking about, winning games. And baseball it's always, in my opinion, been an individual sport. Individual sport played as a team sport, but now it's much more that, because you got guys really focusing solely on their numbers as opposed to the team.
And from a team standpoint, you send Jordan Walker down to enhance his launch angle. Okay, you're working on individual things. You're sending Jordan Walker down, and there's nothing wrong with trying to increase your walk rate, but you're sending Jordan Walker down for that. I wonder, because the Cardinals talk about process all the time, how much they concern themselves with winning baseball games. And that's one of the things Mike Matheny told us a couple of weeks ago when we saw him. Not that it's worked out well for the Royals, but they would try to find ways to incentivize winning baseball at the minor league level in Kansas City. And it's tough because it's all about the process. Matt Holliday said his son Jackson gets mad when they lose.
Yes.
Jackson Holliday grew up around winning baseball and cares not only about the process. He had a swing when he was 2 years old, but he cares about finding a way to win the game. And that's why I brought up Washington, because Washington has all these veteran coaches, not only at the major league level, but at the minor league level, that are teaching players how to win. And that is going to benefit the Nationals in the long run.
It is. Well, and how many times this season have we seen where they have been so reliant on the home run to the point where it's like, can we see anything else in this game? Some small ball would be fantastic every once in a while. And I think that goes back to what you guys are saying too, CD and Randy, just about where it's just getting back to just some of those fundamentals of it and not being so reliant on that launch angle. Because when you hear launch angle, you're worrying about being able to get that home run. You're worried about that situation. And I just think about too, like players who are able to capitalize in big moments. I know that Matt Carpenter was able to do that at times, and even David Freese. I mean, you think about David Freese and the situations that he was in, big moments, and he was able to capitalize on that.
I just don't know how baseball shifted this much in terms of how to win games, how to get runners across, where it's so much about me as opposed to winning the game. At the end of the day, if we're world champions, I can go 0 for 4, but we won the World Series. Like that should be the ultimate goal, and winning every single day should be the ultimate goal. But you may have guys that are winning games but are frustrated because they went 1 for 4 and didn't hit the ball at the correct angle and it was only a single and I didn't do anything to help my numbers. That to me is it's selfish, but really that's where baseball and professional sports in general is.
And I don't want to blame analytics completely, because kids are going to clinics. They're going to these hitting workshops, these warehouses, at the ages of 5, 6, 7 years old. They're taught from a very young age that it's all about you and about how you hit the ball over the wall and about how you, doesn't matter if you strike out, it's about your exit velocity. And it's all individual training there. There is no game training. So these kids from a very young age are taught, they aren't taught about winning. I'm not saying that they don't care about winning, but they aren't taught to play the game in a winning manner like Whitey Ball. Whitey said you couldn't play for his team if you couldn't bunt. Jack Clark knew how to bunt. Never did, but Jack Clark knew how to bunt. Same thing with Tony. Tony didn't run or sacrifice as much as Whitey did, but they knew how to play winning baseball. And now, and this isn't a Cardinal thing, this is a baseball thing, there aren't a lot of teams around that do those little things that Greg was talking about. The Astros do under Dusty Baker. The Rangers do under Bruce Bochy. There aren't a lot of teams that do that out there.
Who's the best hitter you ever saw? Like, just hitter.
Albert Pujols.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
He hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah,
but he wasn't trying to hit a lot of home runs.
Wasn't trying to.
Like, guys, you can play and be elite at this game and not hit a lot of home runs.
The second best hitter I ever saw on a regular basis with the Cardinals was Pedro Guerrero, who did not hit a ton of home runs, hit a ton of doubles. He was trying to hit the ball up the middle all the time. And he was a stud, and he didn't strike out.
That's the part, like the not striking out part, because when you're trying to swing and hit the ball over the fence, you're going to miss more times than not, right?
Yeah.
It's a difficult game. Again, people smarter than me making a lot more money than I am, so clearly they know more, but it's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And it's interesting, too, because we even got a text in. Yachty was an awesome situational hitter.
Yep.
It's those people in those big moments where you can remember where they were able to capitalize on that moment. And it seems so weird that we're seeing this, but maybe it's just because that's what's rewarded right now, right? Is if you were able to show that power, if you're able to, capitalize. I don't know, just being so reliant on the home run seems to be detrimental, and we've seen it so much this season where there's times where you just want to yell at the TV and say, just some small ball, just a little bit from the Cardinals this season.
We need to get Mark McGuire on the show because this drives Mark crazy. So we'll do that before the end of the season.
Tony Gwynn for me.
Yeah, there you go.
I loved watching him hit the ball. He didn't strike out.
No. Here's another guy. Ichiro could have hit a ton of home runs if he wanted to. Batting practice, he put on a show.
Yeah.
But when it came to making baseball plays, granted he didn't make the playoffs a lot, that was more the surrounding cast, but he made baseball plays. That's today's Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Kerry, what's up with Nolan Gorman's injury?
He's got a bad back.
How long's he had that?
About a week back.
No.
Why are the Cardinals dealing with all of this? That's next on 101 ESPN. since it is like August 24th, just a fun story. From back in the day when the St. Louis Rams were here. They had a cornerback by the name of Dwight Anderson. Rookie, young cornerback. You remember Dwight Anderson?
I know Dwight.
Do you?
I do.
Do you know why he got cut? So Dwight Anderson was a devotee of the Madden game. And he went out the first night Madden was available at midnight, bought it, went home, played it, and played it, and played it. And didn't wind up coming to practice the next day. Bless you, Brooke.
Sorry.
Because
I tried to dump out of it.
he got the Madden game and played it and played it and played it and overslept.
Oh
That's
my
not great.
gosh.
NFL player playing Madden.
You learn a lot, man. Training camp is an intriguing time for individuals because you kind of learn what people's priorities are. If your priority isn't on sleeping, being in your playbook, resting, working out, and repeating that process day to day, you probably ain't going to make it.
So Madden should not be a priority for an NFL player in training camp trying to make a team.
Not if you're trying to make the team. Now, if you are a veteran that is well solidified in their career and you want to sleep and you know the next day you're not going to, you want to play the game, you know the next day you're not going to have to really practice.
So if you have a 99 rating on said Madden game, you're cool.
You're probably good. Yeah.
It might be a safer bet.
68 rating, you probably should be dialed in.
Yeah,
Did you guys see that video of Patrick Mahomes when he was talking about when he was a rookie? Or I don't know if he was a rookie or something like that, but him and Travis Kelce went out one night and they both were late to practice. And Mahomes thought like, oh, I'm like the only one late. And they were like, were you with Kelce? Like, what happened to him? Like, where is he at? And so they both slept in and were late. But then again, you're Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You could probably get away with it at that point.
No,
Not a
right,
rookie.
not as a rookie.
Not a rookie.
Guys, the Cardinals have 10 players on the IL right now. Ryan Helsley, Matthew Liberatore, Helsley arm, Liberatore back. You've got Packy Naughton on there. He had arm surgery. Wilking Rodriguez, who they really were leaning on this year, and that was a devastating
That's
blow.
the name.
Yes. Jake Woodford is on the IL, along with Donnie. Brendan Donovan had arm surgery. Nolan Gorman on with a bad back that he's had for, about...
A week back.
Thank you. Dylan Carlson with myriad injuries, apparently.
Oh.
Lars Nutzbar. So there you've got 10. You've got 10 guys.
Did you mention Jake Woodford?
I did mention Woody.
Yeah.
Is there a way, and by the way, the Braves have 12 players on IL, so this is not saying that the Cardinals are unusual, but is there a way, or as you guys look at injuries, do you think there's a way for the Cardinals to go through a season and avoid all of this?
Well,
An entire season?
No.
Not have everybody completely healthy, but 10 seems like an exorbitant amount.
And it's 10, I mean, it's position players, it's starting pitchers, it's guys that you are counting on in roles. I think we were looking at the Braves yesterday. It wasn't really guys that they counted on
Right.
in that way. So the Cardinals, when you lose Brendan Donovan, who has played pretty much every position, it seems, on this team, Dylan Carlson, who was supposed to be cold dead hands, be on this roster. You got Steven Matz, who was supposed to be your fifth starter, went to the bullpen, came back, was performing really well. Lars Newbar, we don't need to speak about what happened to him. That was a freak accident. Yeah, he can figure out how to get yourself together next time.
Yes.
But then you got Nolan Gorman, who has a back issue. It's a lot of, for me, when you start having injuries that build up, you start to look at the training staff and figure out and asking, hey, what are we doing wrong? You start to look at the strength and conditioning. Hey, what are we doing wrong? What is going on in these two areas where we're either not training properly or not getting treated properly after the injury to get guys back on the field? Because the thing you don't want is to miss extended periods of time, which that's what the Cardinals are going through right now.
And it does seem like a lot of back injuries.
It does. It does seem like a lot of back injuries.
Yeah.
And believe me, it's been very painful ever since that joke has started to continue with these back injuries and reporting them. I think what's interesting with Matthew Liberatore is the fact that the injury happened in front of the training staff when he was warming up with some deadlifts, I believe is what the report is by John Denton. So that's concerning to me because, one, he's part of that competition when you're evaluating players, you really needed to see what he was able to do on a consistent basis when you're evaluating the starting rotation moving forward for next season. And that, to me, was like very clear. So I would not want to do anything that would compromise that. I know that accidents happen, as we saw with Lars Nootbaar. That's a giant accident. Yeah. And he's one on the list where I say, okay, that's fine. With Brendan Donovan, I was a little bit worried about if that was going to take too long for them to come to a decision. Ryan Helsley is still one that I'm keeping a close eye on, because the latest news coming out yesterday from John Denton is that his MRI came back clean. So they're going to try to restart with another bullpen and then restart his rehab assignment, because remember, he wasn't able to go through with that. What is your concern level with that? And when you hear that the MRI has come back clean, what is your first thought with that about why this has been kind of lingering for so long?
Well, CD, you start.
Well, I think
you have more credibility here than I do.
You feel pain, like your body, but you also, as a player, know how much pain you can withstand. So if there is no physical tear, so if you're telling me there's nothing, no MRI is showing no damage, I don't have any, so now maybe it's mental, maybe it's fatigue, maybe I'm just tired, and I have to figure out a workout regimen that allows me to get back healthy quickly enough. And so it becomes a physical and a mental thing for that person, as opposed to an actual thing that is causing them to be injured. And I think that's where Ryan Helsley is. I think I was listening to, I forget who it was, a guy, it may have been Danny Mack when he was on last week, talking about how Ryan Helsley is not a guy that's going to pitch every day or every other day. He's going to pitch a day and he's going to have to miss a couple of days. That's not a physical thing. That's a mental thing. That's a training your body to be ready to go every single day if need be. And if you're not, then you have those nagging, ow, ooey, ouchie, that hurts. I don't want to. No, you got to learn when you can push through and when you have to shut it down. And that's on the player to figure out when there is no structural damage taking place.
The difference between hurting and being injured.
Yes.
Now,
we all hurt, Randy. Trust me.
Right. And these guys, and you hate to use these terms, but I think it's only fair when a guy is not capable, for whatever reason, of going out there when he is dealing with some pain. It's just a toughness issue. It's a mental and physical toughness issue when you have to deal. And I don't know if you can, when you're 25, 26 years old, I don't know if that's something that you get built in. I don't know if you build up mental and physical toughness once you are at the major league level.
That's built in as a young person, understanding that, yeah, this hurts like hell, but okay. I can still, if it's not going to hurt me in the future, meaning it's not going to be prolonged, it's not something that I'm going to have to deal with later on in my season or in my career, I can push through this and I can work through this. And it's a decision that you have to make mentally to just be mentally tough enough to deal with the pain. I've dealt with real pain. I've had torn ligaments that I just power through it. Now, I felt like I had to. So it's just about the player and how much pain tolerance. Some people don't have a high pain tolerance, and they are unable to work through something that may be tweaked. And some guys are a little bit, not as tough as other guys in terms of dealing with pain.
Look at Waino with the shoulder and saying, I didn't have any idea that these cortisone shots would have such a healing effect on me. He tried to battle through. Waino tries to pitch through everything, and obviously not having a great deal of success, but he's also had a lot of success at not being 100%. And those are the people that become legendary. The people that become legendary are the people that are able to battle through pain and sometimes injury. Chris Carpenter had to have a rib removed so that he could continue pitching.
How much can you sustain?
Yeah.
Exactly. And Ryan Helsley, I wonder, too, if it has something to do with last season, how that all played out with his finger. And, he thought he was going to be fine. Obviously, as we saw, that he wasn't. I wonder if that's playing into it. My concern is that you heard John Mozeliak say with Frank Cusimano on Sports Plus last week in that interview that they're looking to Ryan Helsley for next season to be able to bounce back. And he's still a giant question mark right now in his health.
Yeah, let me just give you another back in my day situation, okay? And this is classic. Catfish Hunter's in the Hall of Fame. Catfish Hunter had scar tissue in his shoulder. He had the Yankee medical staff put him under, bend his arm so that it tore all the scar tissue, and then he came back and pitched. In pain, obviously, but he was willing to go under and have that thing just ripped. Apparently, you could hear it. It was really bad, but. It's a different animal today. The athlete today is a different animal than the one that played 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s when Kerry was a professional.
They get paid a lot more money.
Yeah, they do. and their agents are more involved.
Yeah.
So anyway, can the Cardinals solve this problem? With back issues, I just don't think they can in this day and age. I think science has changed so much that I think we're going to have guys on the IL all the time.
You would think it would be better, though.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. But now they know more about the injuries. And it used to be that you never had a sore arm because those guys would just fall by the wayside and they'd be out of baseball. And they'd bring up a new guy. Well, now those guys stick around forever and wind up making a bunch of money. Coming up next, we've got the fight. Do you need a fighter, Matthew? We've got a fighter. Good. So we'll have a fighter and a fight next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday avoid the sweep against the Pittsburgh Pirates with a 6-4 win. Zach Thompson with the start, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He did allow 1 home run. Cardinals are off today. They are back in action starting a 3-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies on Friday. 6:05 will be the first pitch there. Also, last night, Inter Miami again in action, this time the semifinals of the Open Cup, and Messi with 2 assists, including an assist on a goal in the 7th minute of stoppage time. They went on to win to advance to the final in shootouts. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Nate. Nate, how you doing? Nate, you there?
Yep.
Hey, there you are, Nate. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going pretty good.
All right, are you ready to take on Randy Carricker?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, here we go. Only 2 NFL teams have never had a player win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Player of the Year. The Jaguars and which longtime NFC squad? Is it the Eagles, the Cardinals, or the Buccaneers?
Let's go with the Buccaneers.
Before retiring as a 49er on this day in 2006, for which team did Jerry Rice play in the 2005 preseason? Is it the Denver Broncos, Seattle Seahawks, or the Green Bay Packers?
Broncos.
Say that one more time.
The Broncos.
All right. Which recent Hall of Famer was the first NBA player to ever hit 3 threes per game in a season? Doing so in 2000-2001. Is it Ray Allen, Peja Stojakovic, or Jason Richardson?
I've got no idea, but we'll go with the first one.
Which pitcher has the most games of 10-plus strikeouts in 2023? Is it Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, or Spencer Strider?
Got to be Spencer Strider.
All right, we will double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Carricker.
Nate, how you feeling? One more time, I'm sorry.
Not too great.
Oh.
Well, basketball is not your thing, I'm assuming.
Not at all.
That's okay. You may have done okay. We'll see. Randy Carricker is walking in with his Diet Dr. Pepper and his Puma shirt. He's looking very spiffy.
Oh, thank you.
You got golf today?
No, I was thinking about it, but no, it's time.
Is it too hot outside?
I've become smart.
Is it too hot?
Too hot. Too hot, baby.
This is a little
Gotta run
warm.
for shelter.
All right. Run for shade.
Yeah.
Randy, say hello to Nate.
Nate, good morning. How you doing?
Pretty decent.
Good. Good to have you with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
Mr. Carricker, are you ready to go?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Only 2 NFL teams have never had a player win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Player of the Year. The Jaguars and which longtime NFC squad?
Okay, never had an Offensive Player of the Year.
MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow. Okay. Right off the bat, I go with our old longtime NFC squad, the Cardinals. I don't believe they've ever had a most valuable player because they've never been good enough.
Getting gooder.
Don't believe that they've had a defensive player of the year. Maybe Patrick Peterson or something like that. So let's just think NFC. Niners have. Seahawks have. Rams obviously have. East, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders. Yes. And Giants have. Because of LT. And then South, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks. Yeah, they've had a defense player of the year, Warren Sapp. And then North, Packers have, Vikings have, and Adrian Peterson. Bears have an Urlacher and people like Dick Butkus and stuff like that. And Lions, Barry Sanders. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
All right. Before retiring as a 49er on this day in 2006, for which team did Jerry Rice play in the 2005 preseason?
That would have been the Denver Broncos, Brooke. The Denver Broncos.
Which recent Hall of Famer was the first NBA player to ever hit 3 threes per game in a season?
Ooh.
Doing so in 2000-2001.
Recent Hall of Famer, 2000-2001. Okay, I will, 2000-2001. I will do the lifeline here, sir.
Ray Allen, Peja Stojakovic, Jason Richardson.
I am going to go with the three-point guy, Ray Allen. Okay. It might be wrong, but I just think that that's the one that most of us would take if given the opportunity.
Which pitcher has the most games of 10-plus strikeouts in 2023?
I would think, Strider has so many more strikeouts than everybody else. I would think that it would be Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves. That's who I would go with. Final answer.
This was one hell of a fight. Considering we've come from some early fights with some low scores early in the week, a high-scoring fight today, a win by just one question. Was the fighter able to come in here and beat up on Randy on a Thursday, or does Randy get another win here and make me a little bit less nervous? Ring that bell!
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Nate, I'm so sorry you heard Mr. Buck there, and that means Randy got all 4 right. He beat you 4-3.
That's all right. I get to hear the Sounders this time. I've been listening on YouTube, so I can't hear them.
There you go. There you go. Let's go through those questions. Only 2 NFL teams have never had a player win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Player of the Year. It's the Jaguars and, in fact, the Cardinals. The Buccaneers was the answer for Nate. It's actually Derek Brooks who has the Defensive Player of the Year, by the which is amazing to me. By the way, there is if you want to get technical, there is a third team in there, but I know you hate this technicality.
Okay. Joe
Namath has an AFL MVP award. If you do not count that, the Jets are the third team that does not have, since the NFL merger, an MVP, an Offensive Player of the Year, or a Defensive Player of the Year. But Joe Namath does has his AFL MVP, so I left that one off there. Before retiring as a 49er on this day in 2006, it was, in fact, the Denver Broncos that he played in a few preseason games, caught 2 passes for 15 yards in his last one before deciding to hang it up. Which recent Hall of Famer was the first NBA player to ever hit 3 threes per game in a season? And that's with the 29-foot 9-inch distance. Doing so in 2001, it was, in fact, Ray Allen. There were 2 NBA players who, in the final year of the shortened line in the mid-90s, did hit that 3 points per game, but then again, they extended it and it took another 10 years.
I thought maybe your answer would be Ray Allen because he was the only Hall of Famer on the list.
Listen to
That's another good one.
Listen to the... See, Carrie pointing out a great lesson to everybody on the fight. Listen to the question. Sometimes there's a little hint in there. And which pitcher has the most games of 10-plus strikeouts in 2023? It is, in fact, Spencer Strider, number 2 on the list. Kevin Gossman, followed by Shohei Ohtani and Blake Snell. So a 4-3 win for Randy Carricker today on the fight. Nate, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Yep, thank you.
Good job, Nate.
Thank you, Nate. Good to have you with us.
Oh, now I can hear it.
That's not exactly what I wanted to do there. I wasn't. I just wanted to pay a little homage to the weather here.
It's too hot.
It really was.
It's not a great choice. Not right now.
So 100. Well, I think the high today is only 99, right? But the feels like is going to be
Miserable.
higher than that, greater than
It's
that,
probably like 108.
greater
Heat
than
index.
Let's check 101 ESPN First Alert weather. Yeah. Okay. Well, there is an excessive heat warning until tomorrow. And I guess it is going to feel like 105 today. So it's going to be warm. Yeah, it's going to feel like 105.
Randy, can we get back to saying flash before we break news?
Oh, yeah, the flash, apparently official. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
But then we have to do our first alert, too, because that's important.
First alert, yes.
Yeah,
That's the best way to break news. Flash now from Dallas, Texas.
First alert, watching out for you. What is
Watching out
Fox
for you.
2's? I should know this.
Still Fox 2 now? No, I don't know.
Is it Fox 2 now?
Well, then that's our website.
Okay, and then what is KSDK?
What News Channel 5.
They don't have like a little punchline
I think
slogan?
they might, yeah. So, we got to figure this out. We got to pay more attention.
I know. I should know these things, being in local TV.
Five's on your side, right?
Is five also on your side?
I thought 5 was on your side.
5 on your side.
Everybody's on your side.
Yeah, and then 5 on your side, and then Channel 4 was watching out for you.
Well, no, they just switched it to First Alert. They're now
but
First
it was
Alert.
watching out for us.
It was,
So,
yes.
that
Standing
TV
by you,
commercial with,
watching
like,
out for you.
four for you.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
here's a question. It is 5 on your side, by the way. Is Channel 4 then still watching out for me?
I would assume so, because then you could say that they're the first to watch out for you. I don't know.
I don't know. Do they just not care? Do they just want to alert me and they don't want to watch out for me?
You got to be careful. Alert.
Come on, Channel 4, let's pick it up. Man, I'd love to be
news you can count on.
Here's the gig. The gig is to be a failed program director and become a consultant.
Is that the move?
That's the move.
And come up with these catchy things to say.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Oh, my favorite ever was, Brooke still has tons of friends at Channel 4, but, and I even texted Mo about this. They had these, and we've actually watched the promo on YouTube. They had these Channel 4 promos where you've got Mo and Claire Kellett looking mean, and you can find two nicer, more fun, amiable people, and it was.
It was a.
It's like making.
Nice.
It's like having us do a promo and having us be jerks and unhappy.
That would be fun. We should do that. We should make a video
with our arms crossed.
where we do that, like
That's
almost
a
like
good idea.
Anchorman style.
Let's do it. Okay,
Yes.
we will. We'll do a promo. Okay, so that's it for the fight. Coming up, we've got a bird watch on 101 ESPN.
field to give you the latest on your St. Louis Cardinals. This is Birdwatch on the opening drive.
Oh, let's keep an eye on those birds. Brooke, what do you got?
Oh, I'm keeping an eye on Richie Palacios. I'm starting to become a Richie fan, guys.
Richie.
Okay, all right. You might say he might be the next Oscar Mercado. Guys, just give me something to enjoy watching right now with the Cardinals, because it's been painful. Richie, at least, has been an exciting story, especially with his brother Joshua in that whole series with the Pirates. Joshua landing the first blow in that brother battle, but then it was Richie last night. He had a career best 3 hits and drove in 2 runs. I mentioned this earlier, but it is a little intriguing that he played 54 games with the Cleveland Guardians in 2022, but didn't record a single home run. So that home run that you saw last night, or I shouldn't say last night, well, yesterday, I know there was a delay. Yesterday was his first career home run, so we're excited about that. Another reason why I love Richie, though, his parents. Listen to this interview with his mom.
But he talks about the relationship and how they're very close. But he says there's a lot of trash talking. Have you ever seen that competition, Mom?
What? We trash talk them. It's all trash talking in the house. Yeah, they trash talk each other, but it's all good. It's all in love, and it's all for fun.
I absolutely love that. His parents, if you were watching that during the series, they had a Cardinals jersey, and they also had Pirates. They had hats that they would switch out. So whenever one of their sons came up to the plate, either Joshua or Richie, then that's the jersey they would have on, and then they would have the hat for when they were out in their position, fielding or whatever. And it was so cute to see that. And I love what the mom said there, because that's what you need, right? You have to have that competition, and obviously it's paid off for both of them to have both of their sons in the big leagues. I just love that interview, and I like the trash talk.
Oh yeah, I mean that the competitiveness. I'm sure when they're in that house growing up to both be Major League Baseball players is pretty cool. And your parents there, I'm sure they had a large part in the success that they're having right now. Yeah, can I get that?
What? No, I have that. We'll have a splat.
Okay, well,
we need a splat.
My splat is for, we talked about it earlier, the injuries. And when you have this many injuries to key players, thank you, sir. When you have this many injuries to key players, the questions start to come up about how we're preparing our guys, how are we treating them, what preventative methods are we taking to make sure that we're ready to play, and then once they are, if they do become hurt, what methods are we taking to make sure that we can get them back on the field as soon as possible? When you have this many strains, this many back injuries, obliques, I would assume that's from swinging a bat. But when you get injured, as you said, Matthew Liberatore, warming up on deadlifts, either you weren't properly warmed, you weren't doing the technique correctly, or the weight was too heavy, all of which fall on the strength and conditioning staff, because they should know what weight you need, how you're doing the technique, and whether or not you were warmed up properly. So those things become the question when people start getting injured. How are we going about our day-to-day business? Because the business of professional sports is playing professional sports. It's not to be on the injured table or on the medical table getting treatment. Can't make the club in the tub, all of those things that come along with being a professional athlete. These guys have to figure out how to keep them healthy, how to keep them strong, and how to keep them in the game so that they are not missing significant amount of time.
Yes.
I am not a science denier by any stretch of the imagination. I am not. You
believe in science?
I believe in science. Good. I believe in the advancement of medicine. That being said, Jim Cott played 25 years in Major League Baseball, never had an arm injury or a leg injury, never found himself on the injured list, and famously said to the commish, the late, great Rick Hummel, when asked how he was able to succeed for such a long time, he said, "Commish, bananas and bicycles. Eat a lot of bananas and ride the bicycle, whether it's the outdoor or the indoor bicycle." And that's what pitchers need to do. Pitchers need to have leg stamina to be able to have strong legs for 9 innings. It's not deadlifting for 15 minutes. It's running or riding a bike. And you need the potassium so that you don't seize up. You don't pull muscles. Bananas and bicycles, pitchers. Bananas and bicycles. Just do that, and you're on your way.
Just keep it easy.
Yep. And Leo Mazzoni, who's a friend of the station, former Braves pitching coach, he had his guys throw every single day. Who did we talk to here? Somebody.
It was a couple of days ago, last week.
Yeah, throwing off the ground. Maybe it was Adam. I don't remember.
Might have been.
Because he was down in the Braves organization. But there is something to be said for pitchers to strengthen their arms throwing.
Oh, man. How's that working?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting that guys didn't have as many injuries years ago, and we are so injured now, but we're so much more coddled now than we were, than they were, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
I honestly think athletes are way too finely tuned.
Well, yeah. You know what I think it is? What causes more of the injuries? It's the sports-specific training. That's why kids should play multiple sports. If all you do is train one particular muscle group over and over and over again, well, that muscle group is going to be fatigued by the time it's time to get to that next level. But if you're training, there are different movements associated with different sports. And so you're a DB, you might just be backpedaling. But when you play basketball, you got to go forward. You got to go laterally. It's a lot of different things that take place for different position groups. And so when you're overtraining those muscles, you tend to overuse them.
Guys, we talked to Chip Caray last week. We'll talk to him again tomorrow about his favorite things about baseball and just about seeing young players ascend. And before our very eyes, that's happening with Zach Thompson. He turns 26 in October. Zach, this month, has an earned run average of 2.84 in 19 innings. He's allowed 19 hits, and he has struck out 23 in those 19 innings, pitching, as we mentioned, to that 2.84 earned run average. We are seeing the development of a good, young, former first-round draft choice pitcher. And for me, especially with the injury to Liberatore, and with all due respect to what Dakota Hudson has done, to me, the fifth spot in that rotation right now, and this is only August 24th, is owned by Zach Thompson. I'm very impressed by what he's been able to do since they put him in the rotation.
I am too. I think that is a bright spot right now, especially getting him back on track. This has been such a weird season for him, where you even had John Mozeliak mention that they need to be a little bit more clear about roles, which I'm sure Zach is very excited to hear that. But I assume at this point that you have to maybe keep him in that conversation when you're looking at depth for the starting rotation.
How would you ever even consider putting him in the bullpen for next year? Even consider it.
Right.
No. Yeah. Well, they've done that this season. They've already done that this season.
Randy, come on. You've seen this team.
Okay, I have.
What are you talking about, man? Silly guy.
I don't want to consider that.
I hope they wouldn't do that to him again, where they say one thing and then another. He's capitalizing on this chance right now.
Stretching them out.
Would you agree
down
with
to
me
the
that
minors?
in his time as a starter that he's been the best starter?
Out of the young guys?
In this rotation.
The entire rotation?
I think since he became a starter, I think he's been better than Miles Michaelis.
If you're talking about specifically with this new pitching philosophy that they're looking at, I say new for the Cardinals when we're looking at swing and misses.
I would leave that because I still think Jordan Montgomery was pretty.
Well, but I'm talking about
that are here now.
Since Thompson entered the rotation.
Okay. Probably.
I would say yes.
I mean, Liberatore has shown it. Dakota Hudson is,
but not on a consistent basis.
Miles, Waino, yeah, probably
pretty good.
Stephen Matz had a run there that he was doing really good till he got hurt.
Yeah.
So maybe 1A, 1B around in there.
He's shown himself to be pretty good. There's your Birdwatch on 101 ESPN. Coming up, our rush hour reset. Bad news for baseball. Coming your way on 101 ESPN.
We're redefining private golf.
The Cardinals got a great performance from Zach Thompson yesterday. Richie Palacios quickly turning into Willie Mays, and he had what?
What? We got to slow down.
Well, okay, slowly turning into Willie Mays. Then.
Slowly turning into Willie.
3 for 4. He's hitting 389.
Wow.
If he ends his career there, that's the all-time best in Major League history.
That's a way to look at it.
More at bats to show that he can prove to do that. Just saying.
Okay. 3 for 4 with a couple of RBIs for Richie. Cardinals win it 6-4.
Yeah.
And they play the Phillies. They get to spend some more time in Pennsylvania. They'll play the Phillies on Friday.
The western part of the state is where it's at. Really
there's no doubt about that. No doubt. If you are not looking at the standings, and we don't blame you if you are not, but right now the National League wildcard teams are the Phillies, the Cubs, and the Reds, with the Giants and the Diamondbacks both a half game out. In the American League, you've got Tampa, Houston, and Seattle. Seattle a game ahead of Toronto and 4 games ahead of the Boston Red Sox.
Well, this stretch down this run down the stretch for the Central Division is going to be awesome to watch. I mean, the Cubs, you got the Cardinals there, the Brewers, everyone's fighting. The Reds are right there. The Cardinals only 14.5 out, so they're still.
You got a chance.
They still got they got 33 games left. 34.
Whenever somebody says stranger things have happened, I say, "Oh yeah, what?"
Aliens.
Oh yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Strange.
Also, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, 12 out in their division.
Did they just take the Anaheim off? Well, why did they do that?
Because
they're not in Los Angeles.
That's the thing. They thought they could fool people into thinking they were in Los Angeles. It's kind of weird. But they suffered a big blow last night in their game against the Reds.
Velocity. Trying to get the fastball by Encarnacion Strand, who fought it off. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think Ippei and Phil Nevin are coming out. Shohei looked in there right away, and they saw and sensed something. We're seeing velocity being down even across the board as far as all his pitches.
And that last pitch, 94 miles an hour. More injuries than most teams. The last pitch, that fastball in on the hands.
And he looked, and I think that might be it for Shohei.
You can hear the crowd murmur, and Shohei will come out of the game. We've seen this way too many times this year. Shohei leaving the mound with Mike Frostad and Ippei behind him.
And after the game, the Angels general manager Perry Manassian faced the music by facing the media.
Obviously, Shohei left the game today. We did imaging in between games. He does have a tear, and he won't pitch the rest of the year. So we're going to get a second opinion, go from there, but it's basically day to day. Obviously, he hit. So, that's where we're at.
That's a UCL tear?
Yes. Yeah. So, again, I don't have, as far as plans and details, I don't have those yet. He's going to, I've been in contact with his representation. Obviously, he hit the second game. He's played with this in 18. So, but with that being said, we'll take it day by day and see where it goes.
It's going to the operating table. It's going to Tommy John surgery, unfortunately.
That's a massive just loss for him, because we knew how much money he was expected to get, and he might still get a lot of money. It's just not going to be the amount because of this injury and another setback for him. It really does feel like the Angels are cursed. Mike Trout, he was on the injured list for 7 weeks and then went back on the injured list last night with wrist issues, wrist soreness. It seems like whatever's going on with the Angels, they're completely cursed.
I think I figured it out.
Yes. What is it?
I'm looking at some numbers here. So they were the California Angels for roughly 30 years. They went to the playoffs 3 times, correct?
Yep.
30 years. They were the Los Angeles Angels, or Anaheim Angels. They had Anaheim in their name for roughly, 17 years? They went to the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
And won a World Series, right?
And won a World Series. Since they've become the Los Angeles Angels, there's nothing. They need to get Anaheim back in their name. somehow, some way. Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Go back to him. You get an owner that's not Artie Moreno. And, you know what? You could even make them the Anaheim Angels.
Yeah, we figured out. 40-plus years of not having Anaheim in their name, and they got 3 playoff appearances.
So let's localize this Ohtani story because, obviously, he's not going to make as much. Baseball will be affected by him not pitching next year, but it also causes teams that can't get him as a pitcher now for next year to focus on other pitchers, like, if you're the Dodgers, your own Julio Urias, who you can sign right now, and probably they will sign him by the end of this season or before free agency starts. That increases the value for other teams for a guy like Aaron Nola or a guy like Blake Snell, which probably, just in terms of the money generated by the franchise, knocks the Cardinals down in the pecking order. If Ohtani is not on the market as a pitcher, teams like Boston and teams like the Yankees and teams like the Cubs, who, by the way, as we mentioned, are in a playoff spot right now, the big money franchises will be much more inclined to spend their money on those other guys rather than bidding for Ohtani.
Makes it tough on the Cardinals, which is why I said earlier, you may be looking at, instead of them going in free agency, because now Blake Snell, Aaron Nola, instead of 28 to 30 million, now it may be upwards to 33, 35 million that you have to pay, which that's a huge difference for the Cardinals. And they may be looking for via trade as opposed to free agency, because now you can go get a Dylan Cease, but you're going to have to lose something in return.
You're going to have to reach that. You're going to have to puke. You're going to reach the puke point and then puke.
Yes, that's what you're going to have to do. And that's what's happened with this season, where you're going to have to get to that point and make a trade that you don't want to see. It's probably going to cost you in the long run. But with the way that this whole free agency market is shaping out for starting pitchers, that just is what you're going to have to do at this point.
And I don't think that Wilson Contreras will be as good a power hitter as Nolan Gorman, but I think for next year, I think Wilson Contreras can be a better overall hitter than Nolan Gorman. I think he can hit for a higher average, not strike out as much, and maybe be a more reliable presence in the lineup than Gorman would. I've said it before, and I think Gorman will wind up being a really, really good hitter. But right now, at the plate, he's essentially a one-trick pony, right? He hits home runs.
Yes.
When he's healthy.
Yeah, and Contreras does a lot. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He'll hit line drives. He can handle the bat. Doesn't strike out a ton. Strikes out a lot, but not a ridiculously outrageous amount in this day and age of baseball. So if the Cardinals have to go with Contreras as their DH because they've moved Gorman for a pitcher, it is what it is. You've got it, and he'll make $17.5 million being your DH.
Yeah, every day. And then you have 2 catchers on the bench. Well, 1 catching and 1 on the bench.
But the thing is, if you have the guy at DH, you can't move him to catcher because then you lose your DH. So you have to have Herrera and Kisner.
Yeah, I don't think that can be the move, Randy. I don't think having 3 catchers, I know 1 is a DH. I don't think it makes sense to have those 3 guys on the roster at one time.
It's going to be a pretty the bench right now as it stands.
You got Alec Burleson.
Yeah, he'll be there.
You got Burley. You got, I guess, Brendan Donovan whenever he's healthy.
He can play everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. So that allows you kind of to keep that third catcher. There is your, what's it called there? The rush hour reset on 101 ESPN.
Whatever this thing is we're doing here.
What the hell? I don't know. Our Blues insider Jeremy Rutherford is going to join us to talk some hockey and more next on 101 ESPN.
for the Rutherford Report on 101 ESPN.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey, here we go.
During the break about a horrible rental car experience that I had. It wasn't and it caused me again. I've always used Enterprise, and so I made the mistake of not using Enterprise, had a horrible experience, and now I will forevermore use Enterprise. Jeremy Rutherford is with us on 101 ESPN. JR, you've been traveling with hockey teams and college football teams and football teams for a long time now. Do you have an all-time worst travel story, like the worst thing to happen to you on the road?
Yeah, I think one comes to mind for sure, and you're not going to believe this, but Kelly Chase was the culprit. It was a situation where the Blues landed back in St. Louis, and our bags came through the regular terminal instead of going out like the Spirit and going through the charter area. We went through the terminal that everybody else used, and my suitcase was there, and the entire Blues team was standing there. And Kelly Chase somehow knew it was my bag and opened it and pulled out one of the tank tops. I guess they're also called a different name, the white tank top that you wear underneath. And he sprawled it out, spread it out over my suitcase, just draped it on my suitcase and let it spin around the suitcase area there. And everybody's laughing their butt off. And I could not grab it because then they'd know it's mine, right? So I just let it spin around about 10 times. So I was the last person to leave that day. Thanks, Chaser.
Oh,
Chaser's the best.
I love that story.
Great.
Well, Jeremy, some of the big news coming out yesterday about Austin Matthews. He signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs, staying with the Maple Leafs, a 4-year, $53 million contract that will keep him through the 2028 season. Were you surprised that he decided to stay with Toronto?
No, not at all. He's got a home there. He's one of the top faces of hockey right now, along with Connor McDavid, Brooke, and he has a chance to play his whole career with the Leafs and be one of their legends. And, you know, that could have been the case with any franchise, but to do it in Toronto, obviously the one thing that he's missing is that team success, that Stanley Cup. And that could come. And I think even though they fell in the second round last year, you know, he made some comments on social media yesterday after signing the contract that he wants to get him there. So what I like about the deal and what I like about that approach with the deal, 4 years, is he's still going to be just 30 years old when he's ready for what I think is going to be another big deal. And the cap's going up. You can see reflective in his AAV, $13.25 million that they're counting on that cap going up, which it is. And then on that next deal in 4 years, like I said, he's still going to be of age to capitalize. So great deal for Toronto, great deal for Austin Matthews, and now we'll see if he can do what he says he's going to do, take them to the next level.
JR, the Blues are ranked number 18 in the NHL pipeline with the likes of Dalibor Dvorsky and Jimmy Snuggerud. What do you think about that number? Do you think it's a little low, could be higher? And what are your thoughts of this hockey franchise going forward in the next 5 to 10 years, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, Kerry, the thing about it is the number's going up, and that's a good thing. You know, I remember for years the Blues kind of were ranked near the bottom, and that's because they were bringing all their prospects up. If you think about David Perron, Patrick Berglund, TJ Oshie, you know, all the rankings were reflective of they didn't have anybody in their pipeline. And then they had so much success there, and Doug Armstrong was trading some picks and trading some prospects to keep that success going, that they were also, you know, the bottom third of the league. So the fact that they were 26, 27, and now they're climbing up to that 18 area, I think is a good thing, and it speaks well to what they've done, both drafting and hopefully developing here for the Blues. So, I mean, when you have 3 first-round picks and you did as well as the Blues did in this draft, a lot of people are high on Dvorsky. I think 18 is a good number. You're not going to see a team jump from, 26 to the top 10 likely. So I thought that was spoke well of the Blues situation yesterday in that article.
JR, swinging back to the Maple Leafs for a moment, William Nylander says he wants to end his career in Toronto. He's a free agent after next season. They still have Marner. They still have Tavares. Tavares at $11 million through 24-25. Marner at basically $11 through 24-25. Plus, you still have to pay a defense and a goalie. Of the core 4, Matthews is going to be there. Tavares, Marner, Nylander. Who do you see leaving Toronto?
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's been the question for the past few years. If they didn't reach that next level, who was going to go? It's got to be somebody. You know, one thing that we have to keep in mind is the cap's really going to rise. Maybe not enough to keep all 4 of those guys, Randy, but, you know, you might jump $4 to $5 million in the next couple of years and then even see increases after that. But if you had to pinpoint a guy. A lot of people focus on Nylander and say there's no way that they can work something out with him, and plus there'd be a lot of interest around the league. But the guy I look at is Tavares. I don't know that, he's the type of player that maybe he was one day with the Islanders. I know he's the captain, but there's a lot of good players there, and I think they could make do without Tavares. I really like Nylander, and if he's available, we've said this for years that he would be a really good player for the Blues. The problem is, that's going to be a big number as well, and they're up against the cap. So, I would, if it were me, it'd be Tavares. I'd probably be moving, but I think that the Leafs would probably have to look at the Nylander situation. And by the way, he was in Europe yesterday, and they had a player availability, and he was asked about that contract situation. He's not worried about it, wants to stay in Toronto, and he thinks that something can get done there.
And I agree with you about Tavares, and I think it's a lot like the situation with Ryan O'Reilly here. He'll be heading into his age 35 season when he becomes a free agent in a couple of years, and we saw it with a really good player here that helped lead the Blues to a Stanley Cup. And sometimes guys just slow down. As we know, Father Time is undefeated, and I can't imagine that John Tavares will be the guy that will beat Father Time.
No, I don't think so. And also, it seems like when they, I've worked with the Toronto writers at The Athletic with where does Ryan O'Reilly fit? And, they were trying to come up with line combinations when we were talking about O'Reilly going to Toronto. Obviously, he's moved on now to Nashville. But at the time, their question was, where does Tavares fit? Is he a center? Can you move him to the wing? Does he play on wing? Does he have, chemistry with the guys that they have in place up there? And the question kept coming up. So I felt like, it wasn't a solid situation with Tavares there. So with that age factor, definitely he'd be the guy that I would move.
Jeremy, I saw that you retweeted a great story from the Players Tribune about Kevin Hayes, a story. For those who aren't familiar with the Players Tribune, it's the story by the athlete, and so it's through the lens of how they want to tell, and it's about his brother, Jimmy Hayes, and it's very, very touching. Could you just share what you got from that article?
Yeah, first of all, let me tell you this. As a writer, that's an amazing story that he told in the Players Tribune. So as a writer, when I saw the tweet come out yesterday from the Players Tribune that Kevin sat down and wrote that piece with probably a ghostwriter that helps him, you're thinking, gosh, I would have loved to have been part of that and helped him with that story, and we could have it at The Athletic. But I think it turned out so well. And when I finished reading it, I texted Kevin, who I've met a few times. And working on stories about him when he came to the Blues. And I said, hey, great tribute. And he shot back a text, thank you very much. So, it's a situation where, how do you approach a guy you just met a few months ago and say, hey, I'd like to tell the story of your brother. But obviously behind the scenes, he was working with the Players Tribune to get that done. And what I like about when the players write the articles, and obviously what I'm saying here is going to take myself out of a job, right, is they just write. They speak differently. They tell it with so much passion sometimes. You could almost be in the room with Kevin Hayes and his brother Jimmy, who passed away last year, I believe, with an overdose of cocaine and fentanyl. And so he was paying tribute to Jimmy, and he told a bunch of stories about their times together. And you just felt, like I said, you felt like you were in the room with Kevin and Jimmy, and you felt like you could, be brothers with these guys and get their jokes and be in with their humor. So, I'll tell you what, we're going to find out what Kevin Hayes looks like as a player when he gets to camp and season gets started. But everybody I've talked to tells me what a great guy this is, and he'll fit in well with the locker room. And if you haven't read it, the Players Tribune, Kevin Hayes, a tribute to his brother Jimmy. That's a great piece. Highly recommended.
JR, do the Blues have a date for the first day of camp yet?
I have not heard a date. I'm going to be heading out there in the next couple of days to start talking to some guys. I do know that they're going to have a rookie camp, and for people who don't know, that rookie camp has changed. It used to be in Traverse City, Michigan, but now they've mixed things up. They're going to go to Minnesota this year, and I believe it's going to be early to mid-September, and they're going to play Chicago, Minnesota, and then that tournament, to my knowledge, is going to move around a little bit. Could be in Chicago next year. I'm sure we'll see it in St. Louis at some point, so that'll be fun for Blues fans. And then, you got the exhibition games in September 20th, 22nd, somewhere in there. So as we know, camp should get started about 16th, 17th, somewhere in there, but we just don't have a date yet.
All right. Thank you, sir. Always good to talk to you. We appreciate it.
Yep, sounds good. Talk to you guys later.
That's our Blues insider from The Athletic, Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN. Coming up, a lot going on as we get ready for the NFL season. NFL news and notes next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday avoid the sweep against the Pittsburgh Pirates with a 6-4 win. Zach Thompson with the start, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Cardinals are off today. They're back in action, starting a 3-game series against the Phillies on Friday evening. The projected starters for the Cardinals coming up this weekend, or into the weekend, Miles Michaelis, Dakota Hudson, and Drew CD-Rom. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
NFL news and notes. The San Francisco 49ers 3 years ago gave up a bevy of picks to trade up to number 3 in the draft to take Trey Lance. Yesterday, head coach Kyle Shanahan announcing that Sam Darnold has won the backup job to former Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. And Trey Lance at best will be number 3 in San Francisco, but probably will be elsewhere at the beginning of the season. I've got a couple of spots for you, but I want your take, first of all, on him, Lance, not being a part of the Niners.
Well, I think it's more about what the 49ers did to go get him. Like, you trade away that much draft capital to go get a quarterback that never really gets an opportunity. I mean, he's had opportunities, but not had the success that you would think a first-round draft pick should have, especially when you traded up to get him. Bad decision by the 49ers to go do that. Yeah, they needed a quarterback, but I think this goes back to what we talk about all the time. Combine warriors, the moments leading up to the draft where everyone gets so excited about people in shorts and T-shirts and they forget what they do when they got pads and helmets on, because that's football. That's what matters. I don't care how far he throws the ball rolling out in his college facility in front of scouts with nobody rushing him. What does he do when it's 11 on 11 and he got guys in his face, and how does he make plays? And Trey Lance hasn't even thrown enough passes to have been considered at that point, and still to this point hasn't thrown enough.
Excluding preseason games, from the start of his college career until now, in games that have counted, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, Trey Lance has thrown 420 passes in 5 years. Tom Brady threw 733 passes last year alone for the Buccaneers.
Ridiculous.
So let me give you a couple of spots. Number 1, Russell Wilson turns 35. And I know he's got an ego, but he turns 35 in November, and their backup quarterback in Denver is Jared Stidham.
I might, you know what? And Sean Payton might, maybe, be able to get a mobile quarterback, an athletic quarterback, to figure some things like Trey Lance, to figure some things out if Russell Wilson can. I don't have confidence that Russell Wilson. It's frustrating for that Denver Broncos team because they have an elite defense. And I wouldn't be surprised if a linebacker for the Broncos tackled Russell Wilson on the sideline at some point this season if he doesn't perform well.
And one other team that I think is interesting for Trey Lance is Miami. And I don't know how much Mike McDaniel likes Trey Lance. He had him as a rookie, right? But Mike White, their backup quarterback, has been inconsistent and now might have career-threatening concussion problems. And you obviously need a backup for Tua. And so maybe Trey Lance, if indeed Mike McDaniel likes Trey Lance, would be a fit there in Miami.
I like Russell Wilson. I like the Denver Broncos situation better than Miami, just because I think when you bring young quarterbacks in, Russell is an older guy, so you can kind of understand the transition. But with Tua being a young player, still early in his career, and you bringing in Trey Lance, they had to be, 1 year apart in the draft? If I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I think that would be tough.
Yeah, ego is a big part of the quarterback position.
Oh, yeah.
No, I wouldn't like that if I were Tua.
No. Well, my big question for you right now, because I was really surprised that this is still going on with Chris Jones, the defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's hinted at on social media that he's willing to continue his holdout from the Chiefs until Week 8. Week 8. And until then, he's willing to forfeit his weekly game check. In that case, it's estimated to be around $1.1 million because he says, I can afford it. What do you make of that situation?
I think it's intriguing. And I think he's putting the Kansas City Chiefs on notice, saying, hey, if you all want me to play, if you want my services, you got to pay for it. And here's a guy, it seems like he's pretty, you got to understand, some positions are not really concerned about what the masses think. Defensive linemen aren't people that really concern themselves with how everyone else is going to perceive them if they decide to hold out. He's done a fantastic job. He's a couple of times Super Bowl champion, and he's the guy. He was 4th in sacks last season from an interior defensive line spot. That is a guy you need on your roster. You need those type of people to create pressure up the middle. If the Kansas City Chiefs decide not to go in that direction, as good as they are offensively, not having him could be trouble, could spell trouble for the Kansas City Chiefs for 2023.
Speaking of defensive players, the Arizona Cardinals announcing, or Adam Schefter announcing, that the Arizona Cardinals are trading former first-rounder Isaiah Simmons, who is a guy that can do a lot of things. I don't know if he can do them well, but he can do a lot of things. He's getting traded to the Giants for a 7th-rounder. I think he was a first-rounder only 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, and I think this says a lot, too, because the entire thing going into training camp was, we're going to switch him to safety and allow him to do more of that stuff instead of having him play close to the line. Clearly not really working that well.
Jonathan Gannon, their new head coach, running a little bit different system in Arizona defensively, too.
Yeah, he was a guy that came in, and they were like, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? What position does he play? He's 6'4". He's a huge human being that ran well, but they didn't know. They were kind of labeling him as a hybrid, but
they wanted another Budda Baker.
He's not Budda.
He's not Budda Baker.
Budda is not nearly as big, but Budda play football.
Yeah, right.
Budda
right.
is a baller. He's going to go get after the ball in the air. If you're running it, he's going to tackle you to the ground. He does a great job. Isaiah Simmons I think just never found a solidified role on that defense, whether or not he was a linebacker or a safety.
He's a quintessential Cardinals pick. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's an athlete that
we'll figure the rest out later.
Football? I don't know.
Also, their response to him not working was then to draft maybe a guy who's too heavy in Zaven Collins, who might not be able to move enough in today's game. So it's kind of a weird dichotomy.
It is.
These people are weird.
No, they definitely are. Now, maybe this is a little bit selfish of me because we're getting ready for our station's own fantasy football draft coming up. So maybe I will or will not use this against you. But, CD, could you give me a sleeper possibly that I should be looking out for?
In what position?
It doesn't matter. Are we a PPR league?
Now we're a 2-quarterback league, so we have to draft quarterbacks early.
You know what? I've said
that's
this.
Gonna be. Give me a quarterback. Give me a quarterback.
A quarterback. If you're going to ask me for a quarterback, it's Justin Fields.
What? No.
Justin Fields.
Not Mayo
Boy. It was going to be Kenny Pickett.
A
sleeper pick.
A sleeper pick.
I thought you were going to say Pickett.
Justin Fields. He has the ability. We saw the ability last year to run the ball. This year, you add DJ Moore. I'm telling you, I watched that game versus the Titans.
Yeah.
Get the ball out of his hands and let your playmakers make plays. If you can do that, get the ball to DJ Moore, and he does all of the work, I really like what Justin Fields could provide for this 2023 season. He's going to be a stud.
All right. I'll make note of that. Nobody else.
There we go.
All right.
Nobody else heard that.
No one else is listening. Don't worry about it.
Okay. One other one. 2 teams, according to ESPN, have made offers for Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, who has been allowed to engage in trade talks and work a trade with another team with the Colts. What 2 teams would be interested? Would the Buffalo Bills engage in trade talks for Jonathan Taylor?
I think they should. I think they're a team that needs that guy to run the ball effectively, efficiently. There was talks that they may be looking at the Dallas Cowboys should be one of the teams, which I think is absolutely absurd because you just had Ezekiel Elliott.
Right,
you could have brought him back on a discounted price. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But the Miami Dolphins could be another one, and the Buffalo Bills definitely are 2 teams that you could see, that I could see using a really good running back.
If you're Seattle, Chris Carson retired during the offseason. You have Kenneth Walker III, but he was hurt last year.
Jonathan Taylor, he's too young. Like they are.
Okay, so,
Kenneth Walker was a rookie
last year.
Rookie last year. So I personally wouldn't do that because I think Kenneth Walker can be a really good running back. But when you're looking at Buffalo, they don't have. I know James Cook is there. They've had Devin Singletary. They don't have a lead stud type of running back. Jonathan Taylor would be that. And same thing with Miami. They got a couple of older running backs, and we know that the way that Mike, what is his name? The head coach McDaniel likes to run the football when he was the OC in San Francisco, how he likes to run the ball with multiple running backs. If you get a Jonathan Taylor on that type of running style, that type of offense that runs the ball in that way, that might be a good look for him as well.
I'm intrigued. I can't wait to. And apparently this is going to come to a conclusion by Tuesday, because that's the deadline for him, Taylor, to be placed on the season PUP list. And if they place him on that PUP list, which they have to do on cutdown day, he would not be available to a team until after week 4. So they've got to make a deal probably by Monday and get him into a new team.
See how it goes.
Those are NFL news and notes on 101 ESPN. He needs a fullback in front of him.
I hope the Colts get crushed. Let's see how they run the football with that rookie quarterback not having someone to hand it off to.
Probably will.
He gonna be running a lot himself.
Good luck.
Coming up, Rock and Roll on 101 ESPN.
and roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Hey, you should know that you can get tickets to Shinedown on September 3rd, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. 101 ESPN has your chance to win a pair of lawn tickets to see Shinedown with special guest Papa Roach. Is that pizza?
That's Papa John's.
Oh.
But there's
Okay, Papa Roach on Sunday night, September 3rd at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Text in to score free tickets to Shinedown now at 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And all you need to do is answer this question. What will Brooke and Carrie be drinking close to the conclusion of this show when they go out in a boat in the St. Louis metro area? What are they going to be drinking? And it's not alcoholic necessarily.
They're going to go out in a boat?
But they've said it on the air today. It's going to be
it's a controversial
what flavor?
topic.
It is a controversial, polarizing topic.
Not controversial to me.
It's not.
So what are they? What is going to be in their drink? All you need to do is answer that question, and you can get tickets to Shinedown. Text in right now. You can also find a bonus chance of winning free tickets for the show right now on the 101 ESPN mobile app. Get all the details at 101ESPN.com. Here, Greg Amsinger, by the way, on our app and on the website. He is on the podcast after the show, brought to you by Dobbs Center Auto Center, and Jeremy Rutherford is going to tell you his story, his travel story as well. What do we got in rock and roll?
Well, Randy, I don't know if you guys were up, but maybe a little bit late last night, and you heard a noise coming from the west. That was the sound of a resurrection.
Calling strikes. That ball is hammered high and deep to left field, and gone. A two-run homer for DeYoung, who had 13 homers earlier this year as a Cardinal, and you just kind of had this thought, well, 13 homers, that's this year. And maybe he'll run into one here in Philly, and he has done so.
Welcome to San Francisco, Paul DeYoung.
DeYoung, line drive into left center field. That's a base hit for Paul DeYoung. Schmidt scores. Bailey read it all the way right behind him. He'll score. Around to third goes Wade Meckler. 7-5 Giants, and Paul DeYoung is having one of the great debuts in recent Giants history.
You got that right. How about 4 ribbies? And clutch. He went to the well just one too many times. Comes with the fastball again. This time a little more in on the plate. And he drives this one, purifies it.
There it is.
Honus Wagner.
No.
He's resurrected,
4
CD.
RBI, 3 of 5. He gets a home run in the top of the 4th inning, and then in the top of the 10th, it's tied 5-5. A 2-run RBI, a 2 RBI single for Paul DeYoung to put the Giants ahead for good in that game. What a magical performance by the resurrection of Honus Wagner.
Philadelphia. Little recommendation: don't tug on Superman's cape.
Oh, my God.
Don't spit into the wind.
Take my bag off.
Gary was so mad from
I
the
was
get-go.
gonna leave. I forgot I got
Pauly D.
a couple of things I got to put up.
Pauly D.
Who's more angry right now, fan? Cardinals fans or Blue Jays fans?
Blue Jays fans.
Probably Blue Jays.
He hit 075.
They should be happy with Genesis
075.
Cabrera
That's true.
and Jordan Hay.
That's true.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
The bullpen is doing really well.
Something we didn't really talk about on the show that I needed to get Carrie's opinion on. We mentioned that James Harden had some choice words for the man who runs his basketball organization, the Philadelphia 76ers, Daryl Morey. Well, the NBA did not like that. They slapped James Harden with a $100,000 fine for calling Daryl Morey a liar while he was on a trip to China. The NBA PA is now filing a grievance over the Harden fine. Carrie, I just need to hear your response to a player getting fined for calling his organization liars.
That's ridiculous. I mean, what are we doing here? Free speech, freedom of speech is no longer. And it'd be one thing if they had proof that it was untrue. If he did lie to him, I would assume that that's okay. That you can say, hey, he's a liar. He lied to me about this situation, and here I am. Unfortunately, going to have to make, what is he making, $28 million, $26 million this year?
Yes, I believe so.
And I have to stay in Philadelphia with the MVP of the league, and they're going to force me to play with this guy. Is he higher? 30?
He's fully guaranteed at 35.6 this past year.
Just so poor me. This guy lied to me. I got to make $35 million this year and play with the MVP of the league. And I was supposed to. He wants to be in Houston, man. He got his jersey retired in an establishment.
Yes, he does.
So that seems to be the place where he wants to go.
The Clippers, I think, maybe.
Oh, he wants to go to L.A.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have trust. Listen,
and I think what happened was
a thing or two with those establishments. They're not the same in L.A. as they are in Houston.
No, they are. No.
Just saying.
I believe that what is happening here in regards to the fine is that you can't demand trades anymore. The league is tired of that, and you can't publicly demand a trade, and he essentially did that.
So you can't publicly complain about the GM lying to you.
Right, because it was pretty well known. Number one, he didn't get it in writing, and pretty well known that he had demanded for a third time a trade from an organization. I think the league is tired of that, and so that's why it was put into the CBA.
How do they know that he lied, though? I mean, he could be telling the truth. How can you fine him for telling the truth about what took place? You're mad because he said it out loud?
Well, Kerry, if you publicly state that the league made a mistake in an officiating call, and then they
That's
come out
not the same.
and then they come out and say in the 2-minute report, we got that call wrong, you will still get fined for going publicly to the media and saying they were wrong.
Let's use our logic class here, okay? What team is Daryl Morey the president of?
76ers.
And did James Harden say twice, I will never play for an organization that Daryl Morey is in charge of?
Yes.
Said it twice. So basically, he's telling me, I'm not going to play for the Philadelphia 76ers, which means because he's under contract that he's demanding a trade.
Well, I can tell you that I'm purple, but I'm standing here and I'm not, so it doesn't matter what I say. If I said something and it's not true.
That's why we're using logic here.
Yeah, I don't know. He's going to get his money back.
Think so?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he does.
I think he does.
There's not. If it's in the CBA, I don't know what they're going to do.
But if he didn't say those words, if he never said, I want to be out of here, he said Daryl Morey is a liar and I don't want to play for a liar.
He said, I will never play for an organization that Daryl Morey is a part of. And he's under contract to that team.
You can say that, but he didn't publicly say, I want to be traded.
Well, then what was he saying with that?
Just saying, he could be saying Daryl Morey needs to be fired. If I'm the NBA PA, I'm telling you he shouldn't have a job and I'll play here. That if I want to spin it,
Kerry.
If I want to spin, if I want to spin
Kerry,
it,
do you really?
That's how I didn't ask for a trade.
Do you really think that James Harden didn't ask for a trade?
I don't know. He didn't say it. If he didn't say it out loud. You're taking my money on an assumption,
it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
But did you see it? Did it do it?
Did it do it in Houston? Did it do it in Brooklyn?
Hey,
has it been widely reported?
I'm the NBA.
I'm not going to stop trusting Woj now over James Harden.
If I'm the NBPA, I'm saying I never said I wanted a trade. I just said I didn't want to play for an organization that he is in charge of.
And then I wonder what happens when you put him under oath.
You smash up your damn phone. The hell are you doing? I watch Tom Brady. Hell, I know what to do.
Yeah. That video's everywhere, though.
I know what to do. What? Smash. Don't throw it away. You smash it. It never happened.
Great stuff. Great job today by our producer, engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Brooke, this was fun.
Yes.
Now, I want you to support local business today.
Please.
Because if I'm not mistaken, like if you go across the street and go to Starbucks across the street, you're going to have like 10, 12 St. Louisans that are employees there.
Yeah.
They are local and they make their money by working at that store. You will be supporting people that live in your community.
I love doing that, actually. It's crazy. You know, I live here, pay taxes here, part of the community here.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
We give back.
And by the way, you go to many more, I'll say it out loud.
Establishments.
You go to many more local restaurants than I do.
I love local restaurants.
You are all over the local restaurant scene.
A little foodie.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
A little foodie on the side.
So don't worry about
Don't worry about idiots.
Okay, so
I'll say it. Don't worry about idiots.
I like that. That's a good motto, CD.
I want to go to a place. I want to buy a T-shirt, a golf shirt, some frozen shrimp, and some trail mix today. Oh, and by the way, I want to go look at light bulbs, too. What local establishment that has all of those things should I go to?
Target?
Target.
Sorry, I got to go to Target. There you go. CD,
Oh, y'all look at me. Sorry.
You didn't hear? You didn't hear?
No, I didn't hear what he says.
My man.
I said CD.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
What's your face? We want to see your face.
You
want to see my face?
I was finding out that Andy from Baldwin is our winner today.
Oh, good. Andy from Baldwin.
There's a lot
Congratulations.
happening.
Tim Rock just looked at me with him.
The amount of
guys
times
need?
that Ryder has that he's talked to me with very pertinent information at the exact time when one of the hosts is like, "Hey, we got something for you," and it's like, "This is the worst time thing in the world."
We actually work with Ryder on that. We're like, how do we make this as difficult as possible for Rock?
How many times can we get Rock to make the dumb face on YouTube?
Tim McKernan's going to have Coach Vermeil on the show coming up at 10:15. Looking forward to that. The Hall of Famer, Dick Vermeil, joining T-Mac without Ajax next. Matthew, you going to stay right here?
Yes, sir. I'm on Balloon Party again.
Good. Do you get to talk some NBA with T-Mac?
I don't have any NBA on the show today, no.
Oh, that's surprising.
I know. Sorry, Jackson.
Yeah. All right. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. Hope you'll join us tomorrow morning. And until tomorrow morning at 7, have a great Friday Eve, everyone.
That's right.